Broadcasting from their world headquarters in Texas, it's the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show, the show that discusses arcade repair, restoration, news, and more. Now, here are your hosts, Tim and Jonathan.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 58 of the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show for December 2021. Tim, Christmas special.
So hard to believe it.
I know, I decorated, can you tell?
I see this.
I got a little border thing going on or something like that. But anyway, guys, we want to thank you for being here tonight for our live show for December 2021. It's hard to believe that it's finally here. Christmas is coming, Tim. In fact, we got some gift exchanges tonight, right?
That's right.
So look forward to that later in the show. But anyway, guys, where are my manners, Tim? My name is Jonathan Leung, and I'm the producer, director, and editor of the Arcade Repair Tips video series. And joining me in person today is Mr. Arcade Repair Tips himself, Tim Pearson. Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. You know, the time change makes it feel like it's 10 o'clock out there already.
It really does. It's already dark out here. Usually I keep this, we have a door here with a window in it, and I usually keep it open, but I don't think it matters tonight. It's too dark out there to see anything. So, you know, it's just the way it gets around the wintertime and everything. So, yeah. But Tim, I was looking at the live chat while we were waiting for the show to start. We got a lot of people over here. Let's see if I can find everybody. We got, it looks like Soul Calibur, Sage. Okay. He's here. YouTube Punk is here. Geek Light is here. Tim Endanger Dog is here. The Real Hammer Billy Lee is here. YouTube Punk, of course, is here, Tim. And we got Bleach. Let's see. BleachCon 1 is here. We got so many people here. We want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. As we always do, we will be going through your arcade repair related questions that you guys have sent to us via email, YouTube, and other outlets. And we will also be answering questions from the live chat. So if you're here, you're watching this live tonight, and you would like to post questions or comments or suggestions or anything, you can feel free to do that in the live chat, and we will try to get to those as we can. But Tim, how are you doing? How are things going? Now you're still kind of working into your new job.
Yes.
Those of you who may not have watched a couple episodes back, Tim left Chuck E. Cheese, the management position he had there, and is now working for a different company. So how are things going there?
It's good. Lots of traveling all over East Texas. I was in Atlanta today, not Georgia, Atlanta, Texas. And so just drove in from that. So didn't even get my arcade shirt on tonight, but made it in time and ready for a show. Well,
if you play your cards right, Tim, you might just get one for Christmas.
Maybe so.
Just saying. So, anyway, guys, we want to thank you again for being here. Oh, it looks like Danny Ransom's here, Tim, as well. So, hopefully everybody had a good Thanksgiving.
Yes.
So, we'll be talking about what we did for Thanksgiving in the after show. But was it good, Tim? That's all I want to know.
Oh, Thanksgiving's always good. In fact, the older I get, it's one of my favorite holidays. Lots of football and lots of food.
That's good. And mine was good as well. So hopefully yours was too. And hopefully you've got a great Christmas planned. And we'll talk about our plans for that in the after show as well. Except, Tim, we will be talking about a particular movie that you and I both consumed over the Thanksgiving holiday. And I believe that is 8-Bit Christmas on HBO Max, correct?
Yes.
So for those of you guys who haven't seen it, it's kind of like a Christmas story, I feel like, for my generation. Is that fair? But we'll talk about that near the end of the regular show tonight. So you guys stay tuned for that. Okay, Ted Hooper's here, Tim. So we got a lot of people here. Golly, this is great. This is great. Well, guys, without any further ado, I guess we'll go ahead and work into some questions. So, Tim, the first one we have tonight is from Sean. And Sean says, hello, my Pac-Man arcade is probably 30 plus years old. It turns on, but it's stuck on a page with a bunch of verbiage. I can't figure out how to get on the page to play. I tried turning it off and on, and it's still not working. Thank you, Sean. So, Tim, we have Sean here. He's got a Pac-Man arcade game that's 30 plus years old. Tim, I think they all are. If it's an original, it's got to be about that old. And he's just getting, it sounds like a bunch of garbage. Now, he uses the term verbiage, which is really fun to me. But what we would typically term, I think, garbage is what he's getting on the screen. So what do you think is going on with Sean's Pac-Man? What does he need to do to get this 30 plus year old game up and running?
Well, usually the way, when you see those garbage or verbiage on the screen, it's usually a board issue. Now, he can start off by checking his power and stuff to make sure that it's good, but it's probably a board issue. Now, if it's kind of the squiggly lines, or I've been heard it said before, looked like it was raining pixels or something, might be out of sync, and you could try to adjust some things. But more than likely, if you're getting actual letters and numbers and weird symbols and stuff like that, then it's probably a board issue. Now, fortunately, being a Pac-Man game, there's a lot of information about that on the net. And it's an easy kind of board to, I wouldn't say easy to repair, but I'm just saying if you want to get into board repair, there's so much information online. Pac-Man would be a good board to start with.
Absolutely, Tim. And we're going to list some of those resources here for Sean so he can take a look. Oh, Tim, it looks like Retro Ralph's here, and he just donated $5. Thank you, Retro Ralph, for the donation. And remember that you can also donate by hitting the little $ button down there on the bottom, the Super Chat button, Tim, as we call it. Or you can go to arcaderepairtips.com/donate. You can also donate there as well. So thank you, Retro Ralph, for that donation. It means a lot to us. So let me go ahead and throw up the slide here for Sean, though, Tim. So from your description, it sounds like you may be having board issues like Tim mentioned. Now, before suspecting the board, though, Tim, what do we always check?
Always start at power.
That's right. So we're going to check the voltage that's going from your power supply to your board, make sure it's correct. You may consider a switching power supply upgrade. And Tim, Arcade Shop has those switching power supply upgrades that you can get. It's a nice little kit. It's very easy to install. But we will recommend that you check out our post on inspecting an arcade board, as that can help you a little bit with your board troubleshooting. Now, like Tim mentioned, this is a Pac-Man cabinet, which means there are a ton of resources out there. And these are our 3 favorites. We post this anytime we talk about Pac-Man cabinets, Tim. The Lawnmower Man's Pac-Man page, which has been around forever and has some great information on Pac-Man boards. Dragon Punch Dave said, or actually YouTube Punk says reseat chips. That's part of what we talk about in our inspecting an arcade board video, Tim, is how to kind of reseat those chips. So that's one thing to cover. Now, if you look at the Mike's Arcade Pac Trouble page, Tim, he actually has screenshots of different ways that the Pac-Man board can look and what may be wrong with it.
Right. It'll tell you if it looks like this, it's probably chip 8E or something. And we have used that very many times. We're like, and a lot of times it's spot on. It's like, yes, my screen looks exactly like that. And so it really can cut out some of the troubleshooting time.
Correct. So that Mike's Arcade page is very valuable if that's something that, especially I think with this problem, Sean, something that you may take a look at. And then we have the Arcade Archive Pac-Man Guide version 1, Tim, which is also a very helpful guide for troubleshooting Pac-Man games. All of these links can be found below in the show description. So if you want to click down there, Sean, you can find them there. The Inspecting an Arcade board I did not put down there, but if you do a search online, you'll find it and you can go from there. But yes, does look more like a board issue. And Tim, this is not a screenshot of what he had. He did not send a screenshot, but I figured that may be close. Okay. So that's why I put it up there, just to kind of show him that these are the kind of problems that you can solve with what we're talking about. So, Tim, anything else you have for Sean before we move on?
I don't think so. I think we covered that one pretty good.
Sounds good. So, Sean, hopefully answers your question, and good luck getting that Pac-Man machine back up and running. And again, check out all those resources we mentioned. They should really help. Inspecting an arcade board, checking your power supply, all very important things to do. Okay, let's come over to the live chat real quick, Tim. I mentioned everybody in the live chat, but I really didn't go over what they said. Okay. So I will do that for a second. Geeklight is here. He says, just a fan from Florida, so he is here. Let's see. And, just a lot of chatter. You guys, we always like you guys just talking in the live chat. That's fun, too, isn't it? So, yeah. So, and I think a lot of this was just, we got Omega Marcus here, too. Okay. So there you go. And he says 40 years old. I guess, Sean said 30 plus. I guess it's actually closer to 40 now. It's hard to think about that. But, yes. So there you go. Yes. Especially for those of us who played it in the arcade. Right. So there you go.
When it was new.
That's right. When it was new. That always reminds me of that thing they used to say at the auctions all the time, Tim. Right. It was working when it was new. Right. That's right. And that's what they always say. So. But I think we're pretty caught up. Let's see. Oh, Regzer Show's here. Late but made it. Thanks for streaming. Happy holidays. Happy holidays to you as well, Regzer Show. Glad that you can make it. We're so glad that all of you guys are here tonight. This is so much fun. Tim, we know that there's a lot of other entertainment options out there that you could be watching tonight, so we're glad that you're spending some time with us, including the Cowboys Saints Thursday night game, which comes up in a little bit. Right. But we're glad that you're here instead, and maybe we can get done before then so we can get you off to that football game and you can watch it from there.
It's just a busy time of the year. I noticed traffic has really picked up, and so, appreciate you taking your time. But sometimes this time of year it's good to just kind of get away from the hustle and bustle and just do something like watch a movie or do something with your kids or watch our videos or something, just to kind of take a break.
Absolutely, Tim. I think I was telling you before the show that I've literally had something to do every day this week. I mean, literally something every day. I mean, I'm not just talking about work. Like, I get home from work and I have to go somewhere else. So, I mean, it's been busy. I'm kind of glad for the live show a little bit so I can take a little break. I'm not saying this is too much of a break, but a little break from all of the hustle and bustle of the holidays. So hopefully you got your Christmas shopping done, too. You mentioned that. I'm getting there.
My kids are older, so, they want money.
Yeah, gift cards and clothes and money, right?
It gets a lot simpler.
There you go. Okay, guys, well, let us continue on in our outline, and the next question we have is from Jeff. And Jeff writes, I have a 1981 Atari Centipede game I inherited when we bought our house. The screen is scrolling. I watched your repair videos, but I can't seem to find the monitor adjustments for contrast, vertical, horizontal scrolling, etc. I have identified the red, green, blue drive knobs on the NEC video board and the 2 prominent knobs to control the brightness and the focus on the flyback. Nothing else so obvious as the 6 dials in the example in your video. And Tim, for those of you guys who haven't seen our video on adjusting an arcade monitor, that is a Neo Geo cabinet that had a 6 dial across adjustment board, which is actually kind of rare. But that was just the one we had at the time for that video, so that's why that one got picked. Anyway, continuing. I'm wondering what else I could be looking for. I do see 4 pieces on the video board. That look like they should adjust with a Phillips screwdriver, but I am reluctant to stick a screwdriver in to see what happens. Thanks for any input, Jeff. Okay, Tim, so we have Jeff here. He's got an Atari Centipede, 1981. So, and for some reason, he's having a really hard time finding the adjustments. He says that his monitor is scrolling, which, you know, what he
knows to try to adjust it.
Right, and typically what we would identify as like a sync-hold issue, right? And so he knows he needs to adjust it, but for some reason he's having a really hard time finding those adjustments. What do you think Jeff needs to do in order to find those adjustments?
Well, I think he's on the right track when he said there were 4 places it looked like you put a screwdriver. Right. Because either a TV alignment tool or a small screwdriver would work. He probably is correct, and that's probably what he needs to do. Now, he can go to Bob Roberts' page and see what's my monitor. If he told us specifically exactly what monitor, or even sent us a picture of the chassis, that would help us maybe tell him a little bit closer. But I think he can find it if he goes to that page and does a little research on what kind of monitor he has. So if he finds out he has a Geo7, for instance, then he could Google how to adjust the monitor on Geo7. I bet you there's a video or an article or something about it. But we've also shot some more videos besides just the one that he's talking about.
Correct.
And that may help him also.
Yes. So, Tim, I think he's referring to the potentiometers that don't have a physical knob on them. And we actually shot a video called Adjusting Potentiometers Without a Knob. If you remember. We don't have an article on it. We don't have a post on the website, but we do have a video on it. And so I think that's what he's talking about. So I'll go ahead and throw up the slide here so we can do that.
It sounds exactly like what he's talking about, and we shot a video on just that because it's not easy when you're kind of new and you don't know how to do it.
Absolutely. So here you go. Yep, these 4 pieces on the video board that look like they should adjust with a screwdriver are the potentiometers you are looking for. These are the droids you're looking for, Tim. So you can use a small flathead screwdriver to adjust these settings on your monitor. If you have an Electro Home Geo7, like you mentioned, Tim, the first adjustment on the left should be the vertical hold. And Tim, this is actually a screenshot from that video. And then you'll see our video on adjusting potentiometers without a knob for more information. And Tim, I did link this one down below, so that way they could do it. I see you guys complaining that the audio's a little low. I'm going to turn it up a little bit, hopefully without breaking anything. We're going to find out. Is that better? Hello, testing, 1, 2, 3. Is that better or worse? I can't tell. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I think we're better right there. Yeah. Okay, we're going to try that out. We'll see if that does a little bit better for you guys.
Thank you for letting us know. Let us know if it's better.
There you go. So anyway, these are the potentiometers, Tim, and I took this from the video so you guys could see it. But you'll see the 4 there, and like I said, this is an Electro Home Geo7 here, and if that's what you have, Jeff, too, then you should have something that's similar to this right here, where the one on the far left should be your hold adjustment, so you can try adjusting that and see if it works out for you. Tim, do you have anything else here for Jeff before we continue?
No, I think that video, if he'll watch that one, will go to the next step that he's really asking for. And he probably does have a Geo7.
Correct, yeah, and like I said, that's pretty common in Centipede and older Atari games, Tim. We know that for a fact that one, that's usually what it is, and so that's why we threw that up there. So hopefully, Jeff, that answers your question. And you can adjust those with a screwdriver. I know you said TV alignment tool, Tim, but I think in the past we've been okay with screwdrivers on this. What do you think?
I think so. I mean, just be careful, because you got to kind of do it with it on. Just know what you're doing. Be super careful. But if you are a little nervous, maybe a TV alignment tool may help you get over a little fear a little bit.
Yeah, so you just let us know, Jeff. But yeah, the TV alignment tool, for those of you guys who don't know, Tim, those are usually plastic. And so with them being plastic, they're a little bit easier to adjust, which is really good. But, you don't have to worry about it, just shorting anything out. Is really the thing with the TV alignment tool.
But if you're good at playing Operation when you're a kid, you'll be fine.
There you go.
Played a lot of Operation. It just takes a very steady hand.
There you go. So Jeff, hopefully answers your question, and good luck getting your monitor adjusted. Hopefully adjusting that vertical hold if you do have the G07 is going to get you back in business. So.
Okay, they saying the sound's better?
Sounding a little bit better. I turned up the gain all the way. We may have to do some more adjustments here, guys. It's been, I may have played with it a little bit. Sometimes in between live shows, Tim, I do some additional things, like other things besides live shows. So I'm sorry if it's a little low. We'll try our best to talk as loud as we can. So, but anyway, let's see what we got here. I'm looking at the live chat just to see if we can catch up, guys. So... Okay, yeah, let's see. My Donkey Kong has 3 FBI stickers on it, and they were stubborn to come off. So I guess, like, people are talking about trying to get stickers off of games. Sometimes that can be difficult. Now, one of our tricks, guys, for getting stickers off of things is WD-40, right, Tim?
Right.
So if you take some WD-40 and you kind of soak whatever the sticker is in that, and then you take a razor blade and kind of scrape it off, you'd be surprised how good that works. We've used that on auction stickers in particular, so that'd be one of the things for sure that I know we've used it on. I was trying to think of other things, Tim, that we may have used it on, but I think like just any kind of stuff. We use it sometimes on control panel overlays to try to get them off as well. We'll use some WD-40 on there, which will loosen up the glue a little bit sometimes. So
it doesn't hurt the artwork underneath, so it's really good. Or the control panel.
Yeah. Retro Ralph, on the G07, there's a flat capacitor on the hot. Do you guys know what that part does exactly? Not for sure. I know what he's talking about. There's a flat capacitor on the hot. You know what he's talking about? I've seen it there. I'm not sure exactly what it does, but there is one there. It may depend. It may depend on your version of the G07 as to whether or not you have that, because I think I've seen some with it and some without.
No,
but I'm not sure exactly what it does, unfortunately.
Paul's not in the audience tonight, is he? We have to reflect to him.
That's right. Big D Retro says, "Hello, I am new to the CRT world. Been reading up on things. I plan on doing a cap kit on my Hentrix Polo 25-inch. Besides discharging the CRT, is there anything specific I may need to know?" No, that's really the hardest part there. Big D Retro is trying to do the discharge. Once you get past that, I mean, that's really the rest of it's pretty easy. One thing that we do. I mean, if you're worried about capacitor discharge, Tim, is you may want to take a grounded screwdriver like the one that you would use to discharge the CRT and just go around the chassis to make sure that you discharge some of the larger capacitors. You can get a charge out of those capacitors if you set the chassis on your lap. I think some of us have done that before, where we set the chassis on our lap to work on it, and then we get just a little bit of a voltage, sting or something like that. So. Anything else for him, Tim?
And probably in today's times, thinking back to how long ago we actually shot that video, today, if I was doing a monitor chassis, I would probably take a picture to see which way it went. But first, like the orientation, the negative side and stuff, and that way, this is just so important that you get that correct. And today you could take a picture, take that one cap out, look at it, make sure when you solder it that it's right, and then go on to the next one. Probably the biggest thing that I would advise to do at this point.
Absolutely, Tim. I'm trying to see if I can get some more volume for you guys too while we're looking here. So I know that, some of you guys are saying it's a little low, so I'm doing my best to see if we can do some more volume. But I think I may have to. We'll have to work on it after the show. I will amplify this when we do the podcast version too. So hopefully, those of you guys who are having trouble, it'll come out a little bit better. So, Jonathan, you see BleachCon 1's question. I don't think we did. Let's see. BleachCon 1. I'll go back up here. Hey, I have a Greyhound crane, and for the life of me, I cannot make the crane drop. It does the opposite, and it goes up instead. Any ideas? Tim, this is usually due to bad switches, right?
Yes, it could be the switch is on the wrong, normally open versus normally closed, or your string is wound the wrong way.
Correct.
When you're looking at it, after it's wound up, is the string. So here would be your pulley. Okay, let's draw a round circle here. This would be the pulley. The string should be coming down the right side of it. If you're facing the game, the right side, the string. So when you wind it around, it comes down the right. If it's wound and coming down the left, there's your problem.
Okay, so
you're going to have to unwound the string and wind it back the other way. I know it sounds silly, but it works a lot of times. Other than that, try your limit switches and make sure that they are wired up correctly, because it may be thinking it's going up when it's going down, or it may be limiting out early. So check the wiring though. That's where I would go first. Check that string. You're looking at the round part straight ahead. Make sure the string is coming out the right side.
There you go. So hopefully that answers your question there. And that was, let's see, that was BleachCon 1, Tim. I was asking that.
Sorry we missed it. There was a lot of chatter going on over there.
Exactly, but that's good. We like that. But yeah, sometimes whenever it just keeps scrolling down for us, so sometimes things get passed. So sorry about that. Thanks, YouTube Punk, for catching that for us, too. We appreciate that. Omega Mark says, gasoline works on stubborn stickers and glue residue as well. Yeah, you can use that. I don't like the smell so much, Tim.
No,
it always gives me a headache, so... let's see. Rexer Show says, volume good for me. Retro Ralph, I got blasted by a G07 filter cap because the fuse had blown and the filter cap still had a charge. It was not pleasant, lesson learned. That is correct. So this is why you do want to discharge those caps. And Tim, we usually only do the larger caps because the smaller caps just don't have enough voltage to really bother us a lot of times. But the larger caps for sure, the ones you need to do. Filter caps especially because those are in the power supply section. Right. And so if you do see a filter cap and any caps along the power supply line, those are going to be ones that you will want to hit with a discharge just to be on the safe side.
Yeah, so. Or I make sure and take my wedding band off sometimes when I'm in there. Just the metal or something I like. A lot of times I won't necessarily be hitting it with my hand or my soldering iron or whatever, but that ring will hit a cap, and I've had a little jolt, but not too bad from that.
That's right. Nothing that's going to kill you, but it will surprise you. So there you go.
They'll wake you up.
Yeah, absolutely. And BleachCon 1 says, thank you, Tim.
Okay.
So there you go.
Yeah, no problem.
Tim says, hey guys, I picked up a Space Invaders Cocktail Tato version. It does work, but the video can appear shaky. Also having a hard time locating locks that were drilled out. And Geeklight says locks can be got at Home Depot. That is correct. So if you're looking for the replacement locks, you can pretty much get those from any hardware store that sells cabinet locks, right, Tim?
Yeah, or a lot of our arcade suppliers sell a
Twisted Quarter for sure.
Twisted Quarter for sure. Yeah, it sells one. They're relatively inexpensive. So, yeah, that's why we always say just drill them out because you can replace them. I think a lock, maybe $5 now. I don't know with inflation. It may be $15 by now. I'm saying that.
After you pay to ship it and everything, too. I mean, probably closer to
But you can get a cabinet lock at Home Depot that'll work. It's just, I don't know why. I guess I just grew up on the tubular shaped locks, the Coke-looking locks. But it doesn't matter. Whatever you prefer.
Now, when we have shaky video, like let's say, it kind of sounds to me, and you can say Tim D6, you can say if this is what you're experiencing. But a lot of times we get shaky video. It's like the video's pretty stable, but every so often it'll shake, or you're getting just a little shake.
Right.
Every so often. In these cases, what we found is it's usually two things. One, cold or cracked solder joints are causing issues, or we're having grounding issues, or a combination of both. So you want to make sure that the chassis is ground properly, that your monitor frame is ground properly, because a lot of times the chassis itself is actually grounded to the monitor frame. So make sure that the monitor frame is grounded properly. That is very important. And then take the chassis out and touch up any cold, cracked, or broken solder joints. Cold, cracked, and broken solder joints along the power supply line especially can cause this kind of shaking.
Yeah, and you won't necessarily be able to see all of them with the naked eye. So one good thing is just go around and touch them all up.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so just touch up anything that looks even halfway suspicious just to make sure, and you should be in good shape. So, and that goes for pretty much any monitor. It doesn't matter if it's black and white, vector, or anything. Like touching up the solder on the monitor is always the first thing that our good friend Michael did whenever he did a repair, and it's something we've adopted too. And so you definitely want to... lost a mouse, but you definitely want to do that first and just see if that solves the shaking issue that you're experiencing. So... let's see. Oh, once it warms up, it goes away. He just chimed in. Yeah. So yeah, that's very common. And
so it sounds like a solder crack.
Right, could be a cracked solder joint. If you're gonna take out the monitor anyway, may do a cap kit if it's been a while. I mean, it's not a bad idea, Tim. Anytime we take out a monitor, if it's been a little bit since we've done a cap kit on it, we're gonna install one just to be on the safe side. So if you're gonna take it out to do cold, cracked, or broken solder joints, you may just consider getting the cap kit too for while you have it out. So just because we don't like taking them out, like you don't want to put it in there and then take it back out and do the cap kit to it like a year later or whatever. So I'm gonna pick up a mouse real quick. Okay. Isn't there something about a like Christmas story with a mouse or something? This is not the kind of mouse I think they were talking about.
So it was the night before Christmas?
Oh, that's right. Not a creature was stirring except my computer mouse, apparently. Yeah. So that is correct. So
until you dropped the mouse, right?
Yeah, exactly. Until I dropped the mouse. This is, that's something we read every year with my daughter. Like, twice the night before Christmas. We always read that on Christmas Eve. That's a big deal. So that's before they go to bed. So
okay.
But anyway, I've been doing the How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the original Dr. Seuss. And man, when you hit those rhymes just perfect, I'm telling you, there's something that feels good about it. Like when you read it and it rhymes just perfectly. Because it's hard to get the timing right. Those of you guys who read, like to your kids, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Get that rhyming time down. It's awesome.
It's funny, though, my wife being a teacher, we'll get off on this subject for just a minute.
Sure.
One day it's Dress Like the Grinch Day.
Yep.
The next day it's Polar Express Day. Yep. It's like every day they're dressing up for something different. There's so many. But I hope when we talk about it in the after show or before we finish that the 8-bit Christmas becomes a holiday classic. I think at least it will at our house.
Yeah, I've already watched it twice, and I want to watch it again. I think we'll be watching it again. We'll talk about it here in a minute, Tim. Don't get ahead of me. Okay,
it's a teaser.
That's right. Okay, I'll take that. Okay, here we go, guys. So let us continue on with the outline. The next question we have is from JJ, and JJ writes, "Good afternoon. I have a War of the Bugs arcade machine." So how many of you guys have heard of that?
All right, not very many.
Kind of rare.
I've seen one.
It is very much like Centipede. The game works with one problem. The spaceship that kills the bugs is offset from where the shooting comes from. It's about 2 to 3 inches higher than where the bullets shoot, and I cannot avoid the bugs as they get lower. The interesting thing about this machine is that I was told it was an original Pac-Man cabinet. I was told that when people started to get tired of playing Pac-Man, some computer wizards in the 80s reprogrammed them to various other games. Can I reprogram this board back to Pac-Man, or do I need a new board? Thanks in advance, JJ. Now, Tim, I did some research for us.
Okay.
And I was not familiar with War of the Bugs.
Okay, I have seen one.
Okay, I had seen them, but I was not familiar with it. Apparently, it was an upgrade kit for Galaxian, correct. Right. So when I found this, so he said it was a Pac-Man cabinet. Well, guys, Galaxian and Pac-Man, very similar looking cabinets, if you've seen them. So so whoever told them the Pac-Man cabinet, I mean, I wouldn't say that they were necessarily wrong because they're very similar looking, but it was actually a Galaxian cabinet that they probably saw. So right off the bat, War of the Bugs was a kit that literally would be installed on a Galaxian board and allow you to play the Centipede-like game, Tim.
Okay.
We'll say it like that, a Centipede-like game, which is different from Galaxian. So an operator, instead of having to even take a board out and put a new board in, could just install this kit on his board, and then he would have a brand new game for kids to play. Okay. As we all know, cabinets back in the day were expensive, and so it was cheap to do a conversion like this. You could buy the conversion kit and be good to go, basically, have a brand new game. It's
kind of an early precursor to that, though, before it really got popular, and it's like this one didn't really take off.
Right.
I'm kind of surprised it didn't.
Yeah, and we've seen this before with other kind of upgrade kits. I mean, Tim, you used to have the 6-pack that would play like 6 Pac-Man games on a Pac-Man board, stuff like that. Very similar kind of setup here. So, but the thing Timmy's saying is the whole title of our episode tonight, My Spaceship is Too High on the Screen.
Okay.
On the screen. So there you go. So, Tim, what do you think about JJ? What's going on? Why is his spaceship too high, and what can he do about it?
Well, that would definitely make it a tricky game to play, and I don't think it was programmed that way.
No.
He asked, could he program it? That would be exciting if he could. I don't know that what his skill levels are, but that would be some pretty good skills right there. It's more of a board problem, and you can look at it probably has something to do with how that's connected to the board, or something, because like you said, I'm sure it was a conversion. So I would look into that, do a little more research on that, or look at the board physically and see what's been changed, or if it has any ribbon cables, stuff like that. But it's probably a chip on there. And so I don't know much other than that to tell him it's a board issue. He's going to have to reset some of the chips and do those type of things, but he may have to send it off for repair also. But whoever repairs Galaxian boards would probably be the person, or somebody that does Galaxian board repair, which there are plenty, would probably really like to tackle this and it'd be a fun project for them.
I was going to say, so Galaxian and Galaga and Midway games in general, their sockets, Tim, were just poorly soldered a lot of times. And like over the years, they just, the sockets themselves have issues, and then the solder on the sockets have issues. And so like our friend Raymond used to have like a whole Galaga repair kit that would basically replace all those sockets and everything. And so I'm sure that you're probably experiencing some form of that with your War of the Bugs, War of the Bugs board. And so you can try some of the steps that we talk about in our post that we talked about earlier, Tim, on inspecting an arcade board. You can try to press down on some chips, maybe reseat some chips that you see that may look suspicious. Touch up some solder on some sockets, Tim. But again, sockets can fail on these Midway boards very easily, so it may be that you need to replace some sockets, and you may just have to go through and kind of do a board refresh, if you will. If you're not comfortable with that, though, like Tim mentioned, there's a lot of people who work on Galaga and Galaxian boards that you can ship it off to that can probably get this working again. Now, as far as converting it back, Tim, to a Galaxian, you could do that.
Right.
Okay.
You have a working game.
I found the manual for the conversion kit. So all you have to do is undo the steps that are in the conversion.
Go the opposite way.
Exactly.
Go backwards.
So exactly. Just restore some of the traces that are cut. And then you'll need to get a set of Galaxian ROM chips and things like that that you'll need. But yes, you could take it back to a Galaxian board if you wanted to. And Tim, considering there's not a whole lot of boards out there anymore, maybe a good idea. I don't know. But I'll go ahead and throw this up here real quick so you guys can see it. So War of the Bugs, like we said, was a conversion kit made for Galaxian cabinets. When players got tired of Galaxian, the arcade operator could install this kit on their board, which would change up the gameplay without having to install a new board or rewire the cabinet, Tim. That's very important. Yes, this can be converted back to a Galaxian, provided you undo the steps of the kit. And Tim, here's the manual, and it has all the steps on what you have to do to get it to a War of the Bugs.
That's awesome.
If you were to go backwards from that, you could get back to Galaxian. You would need some ROM chips, and you'd have to have them. So I mean, you probably have. I'd just order a whole set of Galaxian ones if you're gonna go that route, and you'd have to do that. But you could do it. You could convert back if you wanted to. But like Tim mentioned, it does sound like a board issue. Make sure you've got good voltage going to your board always, and then see our video on inspecting an arcade board. And Tim, like we talked about, I mean, sockets and poor soldering on these boards is common. So try touching up solder. All the stuff we talk about in inspecting an arcade board is good stuff to do. But even after that, it may not get you to where you want. So you may need to send it off to somebody who specializes in Galaxian Galaga repair. Tim, anything else for JJ before we move on?
No, it makes me want to get into MAME and play it now. It's like a fun game.
I think it's out there somewhere. So anyway, Tim, it looks like we have a donation from Silent85. That's our good friend Kenny. Thank you, Kenny, for the donation. We appreciate it a lot. Hopefully you're doing good and you're having a happy holidays as well. And he says happy holidays to us, Tim.
Thank you.
So thank you for the donation. We always appreciate your donations, guys. It means the world to us. So thank you for that. Tim, got a couple of questions here in the live chat. Danny says, I got a 25-inch CRT monitor without the chassis board, but I have a brand new universal board, and it has like a wall plug on it. I don't know what I have to do to get it working, though. So with the universal chassis, you should just be able to put it on your tube and be in good shape, provided that the neck board fits on your tube. I mean, that's kind of the kicker to it, and provided that you can get the anode cup on the tube, then you should be in good shape. As far as the plug coming out, these universal chassis have basically isolation circuits on the board, Tim, so you don't need an isolation transformer.
Okay.
Although you can use the isolation transformer if you want to. So if you already have an isolation transformer, you can cut the plug off the universal chassis and wire it there.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're fine to do that. Or if you want to bypass the isolation transformers in your cabinet right now, you could do that as well. That chassis does not need it. So you could just wire it directly to your AC coming from your power plug for your game as well. So you'd have the options there. But that's kind of up to you, Danny, as to what you'd want to do. But, I mean, those universal chassis are made to fit a variety of tubes, so hopefully it does fit your tube. Tim, you can contact the sellers to make sure, that it is compatible with your tube. But they call it a universal chassis for a reason. It does fit most chassis automatically. So you should just be able to plop on the neck board, plop on the anode cup, and then maybe the yoke wires too, Tim. You may have to do a little configuring with the yoke wires. Okay, that may be a little bit. And the degaussing coil. Okay, those connectors may not be the same as what's on your monitor now, so you may have to do a little bit of reconfiguring to hook those up to your universal chassis, but other than that, you should be in good shape.
Yeah, and however your current monitor had power going up, I would just tap into that.
Correct. So if you have the isolation transformer, it doesn't hurt it to have isolated power. Exactly, so you can just hook it up to the isolation transformer. That's what we do. Right. We typically leave those things in there, because here's the thing. What if your next chassis requires an isolation transformer?
Right.
It makes it easier to put it back in there. So, or if you're like us, sometimes you use the universal chassis as a temporary holdover while you're getting your good chassis repaired. And so you don't want to necessarily take the isolation transformer out because you may get the old chassis repaired and back in, and you want to put it back in. So, so that's just our thoughts on it, Danny. But let us know what you decide to do and which route you decide to go. We'd love to hear it. So, let's see. Mr. Dwayne 79 is here, Tim.
All right.
Delusional's Arcade is here. So, and Delusional says needs an ISO even with the plug. So Delusional does recommend still having the isolation transformer. We would tell you that we would hook it up through the isolation transformer. But if it's got a plug on it, a lot of times you can just hook it up to the wall. We just like going with the ISO because. So, right. I mean, it's in there. Doesn't harm anything. Might as well. Let's see. And Delusional says it does depend on the universal chassis. When in doubt, use an ISO.
Right.
And
why not?
Exactly. If you've got one now, might as well wire it up. So. Okay, Tim, I think we're caught up with the live chat, so let us go to Tim.
Okay.
Kind of like you, Tim.
So
here we go. Okay. Hi, I have a Miss Pac-Man Cabaret. The maze is supposed to be pink. Tim, I think we all know. The maze is supposed to be pink. Instead, it's orangey-white.
Okay.
What can I adjust to get the pink maze back? Red drive, blue cutoff, etc. Screen brightness down. Thanks, Tim. So, Tim, it sounds like he obviously needs to do a color adjustment here. What do you think is his best bet for getting it back to that nice pink color that we all associate with Miss Pac-Man?
Okay, sounds like maybe the blue is up too much.
Or down, or maybe not there at all.
Or maybe not enough. Yeah,
right.
So I would work on the blue. But sometimes, you know, if it won't, you're going to have to play with it and just the colors around. If it won't come in, then it's probably time to do a cap kit or some other repairs to it. But
yeah, and if you're adjusting the colors on the neck board and you're not seeing any change,
right.
Like you're adjusting maybe
then
the
it's
blue,
probably your transistor drive.
Right, exactly. You could have color drive transistor issues. So, like, let's say you're trying to turn the blue, but the blue's just not doing anything for you. Then you may need to replace your color drive transistors. And Tim, a lot of times those can be found on the neck board. Some of them have a set on the main chassis and on the neck board. Just depends on the monitor that you're looking at. But if you're turning any of those colors and you're not really seeing your response in your picture, then you may want to check your color drive transistors to make sure that they're operating properly. So that way when you're making those adjustments, it's actually showing something different on the screen.
And that's to assume that he does have a dedicated board, not a bootleg or something that might actually have a different color.
That is true. So as we all know that there are different hacks of Miss Pac-Man boards, and so it's possible that your Miss Pac-Man board may actually be a hack that doesn't show up pink on that first level. And Tim is exactly right in that case. Then that just may be the way it is. There are some board issues, Tim, that can cause color problems with the maze. And so you can earlier we talked about, Tim, the Mike's Arcade pack troubleshooting page. You may go to that page and see. I know that there's a couple that he shows specifically with color variations, and so you may look at that and see if you can replace some of those chips on your board as well to get where you need to go. Typically, Tim, when we think about color issues, though, we think about monitors.
Right.
But it is possible that you could have a board issue as well causing this. So something to keep in mind if you try all the monitor stuff and just can't get there. Anything else here for
you can also test your tube and see all the colors.
Correct.
And see if everything is
and
working right or go into your test mode.
Right. And we talk about that in our post and video on checking a monitor tube, which you need to check out because we also talk about color drive transistors in that as well. So, Tim, I'm going to throw the slide up here just so we can see that.
Okay.
Let's start off this repair by changing the color adjustments on the neck board to see if we can get the colors dialed in. Since you described it as an orangey color, you might try adjusting the blue first to see if it helps. If you don't see any response in your picture when turning the color adjustments, could be that you're having drive transistor issues like we talked about. These transistors are usually either on the neck board, main chassis, or both. Just make sure that they're functioning properly, and then see our post on checking a monitor tube for more information. And then Delusional's Arcade says sometimes in a mispack, if you turn the game on and immediately credit it up, the first maze on your first life is an alternate color. After you die and complete the level, it changes back. And that is a known bug. I forgot about that. Thank you, Delusional's Arcade, for that. So it could be that you're also experiencing that bug with your machine. Although if it stays the orangey white past that first board or past that first maze and first life, then you may actually have color issues with your monitor or with your board. Tim, anything else here before we move on with Tim?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, sounds good. So Tim, hopefully answers your question, and good luck getting your Miss Pac-Man board colors restored to what they should be. Okay, Tim, the next one we have here is from Michael.
Okay.
And he's wondering about a power supply, and so I'm going to throw his pictures up here. He says, can you help me replace or repair the JQA JQ10011 power supply in my Sega Blast City cabinet? And Tim, he sent us pictures of the power supply here.
Awesome.
So that you can see it. You know, you can see just the different things. And that's the model number off there. You'll see that in the pictures here. Tim, this is obviously not a very common power supply. Those of you guys who are looking at these pictures probably recognize it if you have a candy cab.
Okay.
Very common in candy cabs. The Sega Blast City is a candy cab style cabinet, Tim.
Okay.
And so, obviously, getting another one of these power supplies is way more difficult than repairing it in this particular case. So, what do you recommend here for Michael as far as getting his Sega Blast City power supply back up and running?
Well, it's got that 4-letter word in it.
Yep, Sega.
Sega. And so, finding a replacement might, unless you can, search eBay, places like that, knowing that it's kind of in a lot of Candy Crushes, that might help him with his search. But the best thing to do is probably, there's not a ton of components in there to kind of like we do a cap kit on a monitor, you could do that on your power supply. Now you might have to, normally you would have to search and make one, but fortunately there are people that sell a kit for this.
Correct.
And that's where I would go and try to rebuild that.
Absolutely. So you can get a rebuild kit for this particular power supply, Tim,
That's
which is very handy.
Good. Yeah.
Exactly. It makes it a lot easier. So first off, Tim, like you mentioned, finding a replacement for this particular power supply is tricky, hard to find them. So your best bet's going to be to rebuild it. The rebuild process on this power supply should be pretty simple if you're at all familiar with using a soldering iron. And Tim, if you're not familiar with using a soldering iron, you probably should get familiar with using a soldering iron.
Right.
Just saying. So Arcade Parts and Repair, Tim, sells a repair kit for this power supply, which you can purchase at the link below. Tim, we have the link there. So, and we also put it down below in the show notes, Michael, for you, so you can click that. Now, on this one, the kit does not come with the 330 microfarad 200 volt filter cap.
Okay.
We are going to recommend you replace that cap as well. Okay. I think he doesn't sell it in the kit because he considers it kind of optional. A lot of times it's okay. If you've never replaced that cap, now's the time to do it.
Right.
I mean, you're going to be doing a rebuild anyway, so it's probably a good idea just to go ahead and take it out and do it all. And so we would recommend that you get that 330 microfarad 200 volt filter cap and make sure you install that along with the rebuild kit from Arcade Parts and Repair. If you do that, you should get your power supply back up and running. If you don't, there may be other issues that you need to look at. Of course, be careful when you're soldering, all that good stuff. Don't bridge connections and all that. But Tim, this is not a bad first repair.
Right.
It's going to be something I'm going to say. So, Michael, if you've never tackled a soldering repair before, this is a really good starting place for you. And so I think with that said, Tim, this would be a great time for him to jump in and really take on his first soldering project.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, this isn't a bad repair at all and could save you a lot of money if you end up installing the rebuild kit and it gets it working. Because, I mean, if you send that off, somebody's probably going to charge you a good amount of money to get that repaired. Or if you have somebody come out and do that and install the kit, it's going to cost you a little bit. So this is a great first soldering project, and I think it's one that you could probably tackle even if you have limited to no soldering experience up front. So try it. And look, if you mess it up, you can always ship it off to somebody for repairs still.
Right.
And that's something to always keep in mind. But this is pretty much what would you call this? The lowest skill level soldering job that you're going to find. And there's not a whole lot of parts in that kit that you're going to have to solder. So great first time to attempt your own soldering repair. Tim, anything else for Michael here before you move on?
No, I don't think so. I would really like to know if he gets the kit, how it goes. Follow back up with us.
Sounds good. So, Michael, hopefully answers your question. And good luck installing that rebuild kit on the power supply. If you do end up doing it, let us know how it turns out. We would love to hear your experience. So, okay, there you go. I'm looking at the live show, and it looks like we're caught up in live chat. So we'll continue on here with... Oh, are we already there? Golly. Yeah. We are some quick questions and answers. Now, Tim, I only picked two this month for this section, and the reason why is because they both have a picture.
Okay.
Okay, and so we have two pictures here that I wanted to show you, and both of these, I think, kind of really tell the story of what's going on.
Right.
And so we'll just read them, and we'll read them both, and then you can go over what you think the problems are here.
Okay.
So more traditional. We're not going to do it as rapid fire because these are a little bit more in depth than what we normally do in this section. So
sounds good.
Here we go. So we have Neil here, and he says, does anybody know what is causing my Midway Space Invader screen to look like this? The previous owner said that the screen goes back to normal after being on for 4 hours. Please advise. Thank you, Neil. So, Tim, you can see the screen there. And he actually sends a picture of the screen and then the reflection, right, that you get there. And so we're actually seeing both parts of that, but you can see what's going on there. And then we have Mike that says, hi there. Any ideas what's wrong with the monitor on my Sega Heavyweight Champ game? I can hear the game playing, but this is the screen that comes up. Best wishes, Mike. So, Tim, we have Mike and we have Neil here. So let's take Neil's question first. What do you think's going on with his Midway Space Invaders? And again, you can see the picture there. So just based on the picture, what do you think's going on with Neil's Space Invaders game? Well,
it looks like it's out of sync. In fact, we kind of talked about this a little bit before. How, like I said, it looks almost like it's raining or something.
Right.
Try the hold in the frequency and adjustments on your monitor. Make sure your sync wire is connected. All those kind of things, but also those cold, cracked, and solder joints, broken solder joints that we talked about could be an issue. Another chance could be an outside chance with a logic board, but if the game is playing, you hear it, and it seems like everything sounds normal, and the sounds and everything are fine, then it's probably just needs some kind of adjustment sync issue with this.
Okay, got you. So now let's talk about Mike's issue. Mike basically had this Sega Heavyweight Champ that just had a pink screen. Now he did say that the pink screen, that the game's playing with that pink screen. So what do you think's going on with just that solid pink screen?
Well, now with the solid pink screen, it does sound more like a board issue for him. Something is either not connected or not working, in his connections going to the board or on his board is causing this. That's my first guess. If it is a monitor issue, it just seems like you're oversaturated with red, and somehow, you're getting that pink color though. If it was just red, solid red, the pink color is what makes me think more of a board issue. But it could be his red transistor or something bleeding through, going out, stuff like that. So a couple of ideas to try there. I would try maybe to hook it up to another, hook that board up, or like we talked about, putting the cabinets back to back, where you could hook up another monitor and make sure it's the monitor, or putting that board in something else. Did you say what kind of game it was?
It was just a Sega Heavyweight Champ.
Okay.
1987.
So it's a JAMMA board.
I don't know if it's JAMMA.
I'm not sure either.
Yeah, I'd have to look it up.
But anyway, that might at least help him determine if it's a monitor or board issue.
Gotcha. So let's start with Neil's real quick, and we'll just do the summary here. So, Neil, looks like you have a sync issue of some sort. Try the hold and frequency adjustments on your monitor. And you may have a sync adjustment. If you have that, you can try that as well. Make sure the sync wire is connected properly. Touch up cold, cracked, broken solder joints. It is possible that you have an issue with it's possible that you could have an issue with your logic board, but that's kind of an option of last resort, like Tim mentioned. So just make sure that you check out all the monitor stuff before you go that route. But we have seen that, especially on Space Invaders. We've seen some logic board issues cause sync issues like that. So just do the monitor stuff first, then go from there and see if you can get it. See if how it comes in. And then on Mike's problem, like you said, Tim, seems like more of a board issue. Try hooking up another arcade monitor or display to see if the same thing happens. Now, Tim, you mentioned the cabinets back to back. That's very good if you have more than one arcade cabinet, but you may not.
All right.
So what you can do instead is you could get one of the little, VGA or CGA to VGA converter boards and then hook it up to a computer monitor just to see if you get a picture on it. That's a great way to do it. And those little boards are pretty cheap, $20-$30 or so. So it may be a good way to eliminate either the board issue or the monitor issue. So obviously, if you hook it up to another display and it displays, then or if it doesn't display, then it's a board issue. If it does display, then it's probably a monitor issue. So if it's a monitor issue, like Tim mentioned, more of an oversaturation of a color. So we're getting like too much red, like you said. And typically this is because like one of the drive transistors is malfunctioning. And so at that point you can look at the neck board, you can look at the tube and some of those issues and see if there may be something in there that's causing that. But the pinkish screen, Tim, is different, like you mentioned. And so the fact that it's pinkish and not like red, green, or blue kind of leads us more to a board issue. And it could be that the video portion of your board is having some issues. So again, try hooking up a second secondary display and just eliminating that will tell you if it's a board or a monitor issue. Tim, anything else on Neil's or Mike's questions here before we move on?
No, I don't think so.
Sounds good. Okay. Well, guys, hopefully answers your questions, and good luck with both of your repairs. And one thing Neil said, Tim, just kind of going back, is he said that the original owner said after 4 hours it's good.
Right.
And so a lot of times cold, cracked, broken solder
really
joints,
makes
like
think about that.
Right, exactly. Or like old capacitors, obviously. Again, if you're going to pull it out for cold, cracked, and broken solder joints, not a bad time to go ahead and install a cap kit as well. So a lot of times just to do it, you've got the monitor out already, might as well. So, okay, Tim, is that it?
Think so.
Okay, cool. Okay, Tim, I think it's that time.
Yeah.
Hang on, I can't show that. I want to show that to Tim. Okay, it's gift exchange. So we're not going to do Tim's tech tip. We do the gift exchange during the Christmas episode. So, Tim, this one's yours.
Okay.
Okay, and this one's mine, right?
Yep, that one's yours.
Okay.
All right.
Do you want to kick us off here?
Well, I guess so. So we got first gift of the Christmas season.
Oh yeah, here we go. Okay.
It's in an Amazon Prime box. Go figure.
Everything comes from Amazon.
Right. I definitely see a T-shirt. I'll hold this one up. What's this one? It's got a Donkey Kong. I'll open it.
Yeah, you can open it up.
All right.
Okay, so show the audience what we got. There we go. Oh, I think it's upside down.
All right. So what's it say?
Donkey Kong, don't know.
Don't care.
Don't care. There you go.
Perfect.
So we got that one, and then
there's another one in here. It looks like another shirt.
Oh, somebody's guessing BB gun. Is that BB gun in there?
No BB gun. I'll shoot my out.
Okay. And then here's another one. There you go. Keeping it old school.
Yeah. I saw this one. That was a good one.
Yeah. So there's that.
And there's some tools in here. Let's see what.
No BB gun. Here. Sorry, YouTube fine.
You know, it's funny. I think you had asked me one time, what can I use? And this is exactly what I could use. More screwdrivers.
So we went over
the years. Yeah.
We were actually filming some video over at Tim's house this weekend.
Yeah.
And I went to go find a screwdriver and I couldn't find one anywhere. I barely found like one Phillips head.
I have more. They're just all spread out. I have two. I have a shop in my garage and then a shop in my house, part of my kind of like a game room. And just they're spread out and I'm using them in here. I got one in the kitchen drawer, probably one in the laundry room. There's probably one in my bedroom drawer. But they're just, I don't have a set of everything where I can go, okay, I need some. So thank you, Jonathan. That's a perfect gift for me.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
I will tell you this. Anytime we have anybody come over here to work on something, whether that's the plumber, the air conditioning guy, whoever it is, they always leave a screwdriver. So I literally have a collection of just random screwdrivers that have been left by repair guys. And so if you're like every other repair guy, Tim, when you go somewhere, there goes a screwdriver.
There's probably some under my seat in the truck. But anyway, one thing I can't have too many of, tape measures and screwdrivers.
And flashlights. I've gotten you so many flashlights. I thought about getting you another flashlight, but I'm like, the Nebo Slim is still the best flashlight. You still have yours?
Still have it. It's on my desk at home.
The Nebo Slim is definitely the best. So I almost got you another Nebo, but I was like,
those are nice.
He's got his screwdrivers, so
all right. Well,
okay, here we go.
Without further
ado. I like
the
wrapping. I like this is kind of like work shirt. Plaid. I like it.
It's manly.
And manly. You see?
Yeah.
I got you Santa paper.
Okay.
Not very manly. I'm sorry.
It was the first I grabbed, honestly.
Oh, there we go. Look at this. And this is actually something I asked for. This is a laser level. I've been wanting a laser level for a long time. So thank you. This is something that Tim asked me what I wanted. This is what I wanted.
There you go.
So we're always hanging stuff around here. Pictures, posters, other things. And it's like, I never know how to get things level.
Right.
I always guess. And I'm okay guesser, but it's better to have the actual stuff. So, and let's see what else we have here. There's something else in here. Oh, look at this. NES coasters.
Open up. Have you seen those?
I have not. They look like game cartridges.
Yeah, they're. It's just coasters for
your
house.
Look at that! Super Mario Bros. 3, guys.
And they're just game coasters. I don't know. I just saw those and it just looked like you.
Well, I think they're awesome.
It's kind of cool.
Thank you so much. So this is really cool. Super Mario Bros. 3, guys, special place in my heart, especially for all those people who watch.
I think it has different
yeah, it looks.
cartridges.
I see Super Mario Brothers 2, Excite Bike, Metroid, Super Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt, Donkey Kong, and Zelda.
There you go.
So there we go. So thank you, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
So Always another year, Tim. Another year.
So now when you're
arcade repair tips and friendship.
When you have all your family over for your nice Thanksgiving dinner, you can give them a game coaster.
Hey, why don't you change into one of your shirts since you get a chance? I'm gonna let him do that real quick.
All right.
And I'm gonna talk to the live chat real quick while you're doing that. I'll have him change real quick, guys. Let's see what else we have here. Let's see. Okay, by the way, all of Tim's gifts, guys, I'm going to go ahead and put up on the screen so you guys can see them. These are all the ones that we got him. This is the links. The links are also down below, too, so you can see them there. But this is where I got them from. So the Keeping It Old School shirt came from Amazon. The Donkey Kong came from Walmart. And then the screwdriver set came from Home Depot, for those of you guys who want to.
Both of yours came from Amazon, so they can find those on there.
Okay, both of mine came from Amazon?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, let me go to the live chat real quick. Tim is too cool for old school. That's what it says. Let's see, that's from YouTube Punk. Danny says, with the JAMMA switcher, is it just for boards? Because I was wondering if I could use 2 Pandora's boxes. Technically, you could use that with the JAMMA switcher, but you're going to have to wire up the kick harnesses a little bit. Well, I say that. The right JAMMA switcher, I think, as long as it supports that pin 20, what is it, pin 27, as long as it supports that one being not a ground, then you should be okay with the JAMMA switcher, Danny. So, but if it doesn't, you may have to wire those little kick harness, or you may have to wire the end of the JAMMA harness a little bit different, depending. But as long as it supports switching all of the pins on the JAMMA harness, a JAMMA switcher should actually work. Let's see. Delusional says, Hey Tim, I bought that Atari Logo America t-shirt you wore here once.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
I got that one too. I actually wore that one. I wore that one last show, didn't I?
Yeah,
I think I did. I love that. I love that shirt. That's an awesome shirt, Delusional. Michael's here. He says, first live show I've seen in months. Glad you could be here. So I found a 10mm snap-on wrench under the hood of my son's F-150 after we got it. Gotta love it. Oh yeah, we leave tools everywhere, right?
Yeah, especially that 10mm. It's
yeah,
always
exactly.
missing.
That one's all over the place. So
I need about 10 of those.
Right. Let's see. Michael says, let's see. Let's continue down here. YouTube Punk, sweet. Send it to WADA and get it graded. You want me to send my coasters to WADA and get them graded? There you go.
They're new in box.
That's right.
NIV.
Hi, Michael Bloom. Where can we get the coasters, Tim?
Amazon's where I got those.
There you go. They're on Amazon, guys. So, NES
I think
coasters.
I caught a Black Friday sale, but they were really inexpensive. I mean, I thought they were pretty cool. You want my razor blade?
You got a razor blade on you?
Yeah, always.
I never keep pocket knives. I always end up stabbing my like leg with them or something. Look at you. Yeah, you always have one. Oh, this is a nice one. Golly.
When you were a GM for years, you got to cut a lot of boxes open.
There you go.
I still cut boxes open all the time.
Okay, here we go.
Break them down.
Yes, we did finish up a video. We should say that. I don't know when we're going to get it out, but
yeah,
we finished lots of videos. The editing is the hard part.
Right.
So, okay, I do have the coasters here. We've got Super Mario Brothers 3. There's the Super Mario Brothers 2. And they're kind of cardboard-ish.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not bad. They're very light. You don't have to worry about your kids breaking them, which is really good because I have, like, metal ones and some. There's a Metroid. I didn't see the Metroid on
I didn't either.
So, Legend of Zelda I saw. And then the Excite Bike. And
a pretty good
Donkey
set.
Kong, Duck Hunt, and Super Mario Brothers. There we go. So, obviously classic games, Tim. Near and dear to my heart. So, thank you very much for those. Those are really cool. So, I'm going to put them back in here. And they're even branded like the Nintendo games were.
Yeah.
Like the little boxes. So,
I thought it was unique and just something different. I was glad to run across it.
So, while we're talking about what brand is Tim's pocket knife? Actually, yeah, it's not really a pocket knife. It's a pocket. It's like what is it?
It's a cutter, like a razor blade.
Yeah, you want to show them real quick?
That is a. You know what? I almost want to say it's probably rubbed off. I think this came from Home Depot. This is a Husky brand. It's got a wood handle. These are like $12 or $13.
In a way, it's better than a pocket knife because you don't have to. You can just take the razor blade out.
Yeah.
You don't have to get it sharpened.
I'm always cutting boxes, so I'm like cutting boxes down, but
it's a pocket box cutter.
Yeah,
is really what it is.
Can't get on a plane though with it.
Obviously.
Right, so, I forget have it in my pocket.
So did you ship it home, or what'd you do with it?
No, I caught it right when I was fixing to go in the airport. And I was like, and I had to go back and put it in. The car. My
wife keeps like a little pocket knife that's like a blade this long.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we were on our honeymoon, which is a long time ago, obviously, we flew all the way. We flew to Mexico, and we flew with the pocket knife. So they let us on board. And we had a layover, and then we went to Mexico. And it wasn't until the layover back home that they caught it.
Oh, wow.
And they made her mail it home. So she had to mail it back to herself. But, yeah, that's security, you know?
Somebody got me a little bitty knife. I mean, it was, and it just said Tim on it, and it was for a keychain. That's
what she had, yeah.
I never used it for anything. I don't even think you could cut your fingernails with it. But I caught it at the airport, and I was like, And like, well, we can ship it back. And I was like, no, just toss it, because I didn't even think about it. It was on my keychain, you know. But
how's it fit?
Oh, it fits good.
Good? Really got the right size?
Yep.
Nice.
Good size.
Looks good on you. So I got you the blue. It comes in like every different color.
Oh, yeah.
If you guys are looking, you can see
it
comes in every color. But I like dark blue.
Almost black if you look at it on TV or something, but it's really dark blue. It's a good color for me. I love it.
Yeah, so I thought you would. So
thank you.
You're welcome. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Okay, guys. Well, that's enough Christmas stuff. I do want to know what you guys are asking for Christmas. Now, Tim,
right?
I should mention I have been in pursuit of PlayStation and Xbox consoles over the last month because I've been trying to help people out with their Christmas giving. I was able to score 8 consoles so far, 5 PlayStation 5s and 3 Xboxes. So I have been trying to help people get those because, Tim, it's hard.
It is.
Golly, I mean, people are having just a tough time getting those.
But you got it down to a science, John.
I would not say that. I am not a bot. I don't use bots. If I use bots, I could probably get 170 of them or whatever. But
you got a skill, though, to do it.
I do have a skill. Mm-hmm. So, but it's difficult. So if you're out there looking for that, I wish you the best of luck. I posted a thing on my Facebook today about the tips that I use. So you guys can actually look at it. I think I made that post public. So even if you just find me on Facebook, you don't have to be friends with me. You'll see it. So, but let us know what you're asking for Christmas.
Yes.
I've got a couple of my gifts over here because I buy myself stuff. A couple of things that I think may be interesting to these guys. Maybe I should pull it out. Okay, you guys. So this thing may be something you've seen. This is the Legend of Zelda Game & Watch series little thing. So last year they had a Super Mario Brothers one, and it played Super Mario Brothers and the Japanese Super Mario Brothers 2. Mm-hmm. This one plays Legend of Zelda. It also has Zelda 2, Adventures of Link. It has Link's Awakening on it as well. So this is kind of the Nintendo one. This is the other thing that they may find interesting. This is an Xbox controller, but this is the 20th anniversary Xbox controller.
Nice.
So these are going, I think, for $70 right now. I think is what the price is on it, but it has a little 20 right there. And this is compatible with the Xbox One and with the Xbox Series X or S, if you guys have those as well. But this is something that I think if you're a gamer, 20 years of Xbox, Tim, it's hard to believe it's been around crazy. That long. So, but this is a cool, nice little design. Works with PC too. So if you're a PC gamer, but the 20th anniversary design I really like. So that's something that's in my stuff that I bought for me. So I think those are the only 2 things I'll show. There's other things in here.
Okay.
Not important. So Tim, what are you asking for?
Everything's in such a blur. I think we're going to put our money together. We usually get money, what we talked about earlier. I need some luggage. We have been doing so much traveling lately and more to come in the next year. So I think our luggage is just about worn out. And if not, maybe upgrading our home security system. Kind of me and my wife both, whatever we get, kind of to go in together. So, we're at that age where it's rather put our money together and get something really big that we need that we normally wouldn't buy.
Right.
For ourselves.
Sounds good. Let's see what we got in the thing here. Danny says, I'm thinking about an NBA Jam Arcade 1-Up cabinet. I have that cabinet. I picked it up on sale for $200, Tim.
Nice.
And it is a very good cabinet. There are people playing online. Tim, I forget how hard that game is, but anybody who knows me, NBA Hang Time is one of my favorite games ever. Mm-hmm. And I have an NBA Showtime cabinet, but I didn't have a Hang Time cabinet, so that thing's basically my hang time playing machine. And when people come over, they love it. And if you can find it for a good price, even $300, I think it's probably worth it for that price. More than that, I would, I don't know, maybe $350 would be my max on it. But it's a great machine. You get a lot of replay value out of it. People love to play it when they come over. So I would highly recommend that machine. Super Nintendo Zach says he wants a 1944 Loop Master for Christmas. I don't know if you want I assume a full-size arcade game there. Okay. So you're going to have to find that board, which can be a little tough to find.
I think
so.
But
I have... I got a mod on my Street Fighter cabinet, Tim, and it plays that game.
Oh, wow.
On my Street Fighter Arcade 1-Up. So, I actually can play that game. It's a good game. Love 1944 Loop Master. Delusional says, I did a live unboxing of the Zelda Game & Watch recently. It's great. Yeah, we try not to open Christmas gifts before Christmas. Around here, try to. So that's like Christmas gift. My wife's going to wrap it up and put it under the tree, and then I'll get it. So, I buy my own Christmas gifts, but she still has to wrap them and put them under the tree. So not all my own gifts. We have some surprises. But anyway, I'm looking forward to playing it Delusional, so I'm glad that you like it. Okay, Tim, I think we've got some news to cover, and then we're going to move on to 8-Bit Christmas, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So let's see here. We've got the Atari is releasing 3 lost retro games as cartridges, Tim.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so these are, it's a trio of super rare retro games out in physical form. So you've got Aqua Adventure, you have Saboteur, and you have Yar's Return will be available on Atari 2600 cartridges and come in beautiful 80s style packaging. You'll be able to choose between the $50 standard editions, Tim, which include the cartridge, just the cartridge, or the super fancy $150 limited editions. The latter contains the cartridge, a premium poster, a printed instruction manual with bonus material, a collectible pin and badge, a certificate of authenticity, and a digital copy of the game for the Atari VCS, Tim. So Crazy. There you go. So now people were saying that the price of these were high.
It is a little pricey, but
yeah, I was about to say, what is your thoughts?
Get it? They were that much new in the 80s, so it doesn't sound unreasonable. If the market will dictate, if the price is too high and they're not selling many, they'll drop it down.
I have to admit, I've never bought an Atari 2600 game. My first game I ever bought, like with my money, was an NES game, Tim, because you're a little older than me. So you bought Atari 2600 games, so you know how much they were.
Right.
So $50 is a good deal?
It's an okay deal for what you're getting. I mean, how rare is that? That's pretty rare. If you're a really big collector, and you're all into Atari 2600 cartridges, I would probably pick it up. I mean, for the price of inflation and everything these days, it doesn't sound that outrageous to me.
Yeah, I don't think so either. $150 for a limited edition sounds high, but you get a lot with that.
I'm going to say, you get the collectible stuff, the certificate of authenticity, which, you figure if you don't mess it up too bad or play with it too much, it's going to go up in value, or it should.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
so Nate has a question. Would you prefer a Lindbergh cabinet, a Knorr, or Vuelix? Newer cabs. I like Vuelix. And our buddy Mark has a Vuelix, Tim. A very similar Vuelix. It's not an actual Vuelix. It's like a clone. But I tell you what, I love the styling of that cabinet. I always think the Vuelix cabinets look cool. So for me personally, I'm going to have to go Vuelix fan. I'm a Vuelix fan. I think they're awesome looking. So that's my particular. But I mean, that's more of a personal thing for you. So Nate, if there's one that you're looking at, that's kind of depends on what you want. So, but yeah, I think the Vuelix is really cool. Delusional says, I used to buy Atari 2600 games new at Odd Lot for 50 cents. There was a time, obviously, during the video game crash, Tim, when games are going for cheap, right?
Right.
So there you go.
Yeah, I've dug through some bins at Walmart and Toys R Us back in the day and got some good deals.
There you go. Okay, now, Tim, this next news kind of caught us, I think me by surprise anyway. I found it very interesting. But UNICO, we know them as the people who made the SNK MVSX Arcade, which is basically like an Arcade 1-Up style Neo Geo system. But Tim, they announced that they're going to do a new Retro Gaming PCB with a JAMMA Harness interface, and that they're going to have several Arcade CRT Replacement LCD monitors available for purchase. And you can see this on their Facebook page. Let's see. We have the UNICO Arcade Retro Gaming PCB feature, which features a JAMMA Harness interface to plug directly into your arcade cabinet. And then it will support almost every emulator made to support game titles from 1970 to 2008. So it's going to be $149 for the 2 gigs of RAM, 32 gig eMMC storage, or you can get the $199 version, which comes with 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of the eMMC storage. Okay?
Wow, okay.
So basically, that's a programmable retro gaming PCB board that will play any game from 1970 to 2008, basically.
Wow.
So, and I think for the pricing, it's a pretty fair deal. I mean, considering you could also do like a Raspberry Pi or something like that. But here you're basically getting an entire retro board, Tim. You're getting a JAMMA ready board that you can just program and plug in. So, I mean, that's a pretty cool deal.
Yeah.
Now, that was part of the announcement. The other part was that they have a Phoenix monitor series that features Arcade CRT Replacement LCD monitors. So all monitors except CGA, EGA, VGA, and HDMI input signals.
That's crazy.
So basically, it is a true arcade replacement LCD. Okay?
Nice.
Because it'll work with anything. And then these provide a true drop-in replacement for your CRT arcade operators, avid collectors, and home arcade enthusiasts. And Tim, they said that they were going to do a 25-inch 5x4 version.
Nice.
Which would be very handy.
Yeah, so it makes it easier to replace. You don't have to get a different bezel.
They have to get, I think, 1,000 people to pre-order to actually put it into production.
Did they list a price yet?
They did, and I did not put the prices here on these. They come in 17, 19s, and this 25-inch 5x4. But if they do the 25-inch 5x4, Tim, that'll be a very nice replacement for those 25-inch monitors out there. It's not 25. It may be 29. It's a little bit bigger than that, but it's made to replace 25-inch CRTs.
Okay.
So, but they do have one that's coming out. So
nice.
So, but again, they need 1,000 people to pre-order that to put that into production. Okay. So if you check this Facebook post and you sign up for it, then maybe we can get those into production. But that's very good news, Tim, because I'd like to see more non-widescreen monitors being made to replace some of these aging arcade CRTs. So that's what we're looking at, though. But I think UNICO, Tim, if you're not familiar, I know that our friends at Arcade Heroes have done several articles about them. Even though the company is mainly known for that kind of arcade one-up knockoff Neo Geo, the people behind the company are arcade people.
Okay.
And I think this post just goes to show you that this is the case.
I think so.
And so I think that these parts are going to be really great for people. And it doesn't matter if you're the kind of guy who just wants to do a conversion to a cabinet, or if you want to build your own cabinet and put this board in there. You can use their monitors, their board, and you can have a really nice setup for your house. Or you can take an old JAMMA cabinet that you have around and pop this board in there and be in good shape. So it gives you a lot of options, and I'm glad that there's companies out here doing this kind of stuff, Tim, because we love the fact that we have more options. That's really what it comes down to. So let's see what we got here. Let's see. Delusional, he says, love them, but I prefer a CRT New Blast City. So if a CRT Candy Cab style cabinet. I like Vuex cabinets, and with newer style games, if you like to play anything that's HD, Tim, Street Fighter V, for instance, or something like that, then or the newer Mortal Kombats, having a nice widescreen LCD in there makes a lot of difference. So if you're playing classic stuff, though, CRT is still the way to go. Let's see. Michael says, we need Airwolf. Maybe Howard Warshaw can finish it. He's still very active in the Atari world. He wants an Airwolf Atari 2600 cartridge. And Delusional says, doubt they will do Airwolf. Let's see. The series for that was based on a contest, he says. Let's see. Tim says, would love to see Howard do another game. He's a great guy. I've heard really good things about Howard Scott Warshaw, Tim. I've never met him, but it seems like everybody who's ever met him says he's a really nice guy. So, that's really good stuff to hear. So, okay. Is it time? We've been teasing this. Okay. So, this is the exact same slide I threw up last month, Tim, but the difference is that we're actually going to talk about it. So, here is your warning alert. Spoilers.
Right.
Spoilers. So, if you have not seen 8-Bit Christmas on HBO Max and you don't want us to spoil it for you, turn back. Leave now. Come back in 10 minutes for the after show or something like that. We don't want to spoil it for you. But just to remind everybody what 8-Bit Christmas is, it is an HBO Max holiday movie that takes place in Chicago. And it centers around one young boy named Jake Doyle and his quest for the elusive Nintendo. The trailer, you can see, it has the adult Jake Doyle is played by Neil Patrick Harris, Tim, which we may know as Doogie Howser, or from How I Met Your Mother, if you're familiar with that. And he's telling his daughter about that one unforgettable Christmas when he supposedly got his NES, and the lengths that he went to in order to get his hands on it. And it came out November 24th. What was that? More than a week ago?
Yes.
More than a week ago now. So if you haven't seen it yet, what are you doing?
Yeah,
you need to go see it. So, again, spoilers. Spoilers. Have I said it enough?
I think enough.
Okay. Spoilers. Okay. So we're moving forward with this. Okay, Tim. So you and I both watched it.
Yes.
Okay. And so if you guys have watched it in the live chat, let us know what parts were your favorite and what you thought. Okay, that's what we want to know. So, Tim, what were your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts were it kind of started a little slow.
Did.
And I was thinking, because I had an anticipation, really wanting to see it. Trying to talk my wife into watching it. After about 5 minutes, she's like, it's kind of boring. I'm like, I think it's going to get better. Hang on. And she ended up staying and watching it with me, and she loved it. So
that's good.
Once it kind of got rolling, does remind you of Christmas Story if you've seen that. But more for our generation and your generation especially. And it just brought back a lot of good memories. But I guess towards the end, it gets so funny. I really caught myself laughing so hard out loud, and just bringing back some memories and things, and remembering how the rich kid that had one and nobody else had it.
Yes.
And he would only let 10 people play, or actually they didn't get to play.
Right.
They got to watch him play.
Right.
And then he got the power glove and it was so excited, and then it sucked. And he was like, oh, and just those funny things that just brought back memories of stuff, how when something like that would come out, we're like, oh, I can remember going to school. So-and-so's got the power glove. Really? Oh, well, let's go see it. It was so true to life. And Neil Patrick Harris played the part perfectly. Great person to have playing that role. And the ending was good. I liked how they did it. So what were your thoughts, Sean? Huh?
So I really liked it, obviously. I mean, I felt, like Tim mentioned, Christmas Story vibe really heavily. Some of the people here, YouTube Punk says Christmas Story with a hint of Princess Bride. I kind of feel that. Razor Show says very good movie, great 80s references. King of the Mountain and mall scenes were the best. My favorite scene in the whole thing was the retainer. Okay, so the retainer scene is my favorite. Yeah. If you guys have seen it, I'm talking about. That scene's my favorite. But the part that leads up to that, where the Nintendo is like talking to him and taunting him, is really good too. The whole thing was good. Tim mentioned it starts a little slow. They kind of have to work up to the reason he's telling the story, right? Exactly. So we get into that. Once he starts telling the story, though, things really pick up. And I mean, it was just, once that happened, it was just really enjoyable. And my wife, we actually watched it after Thanksgiving dinner with her family, and I think everybody really liked it. My daughter watched it because I looked it up and it said it was for 8+. My daughter's 8.
I think it's pro.
I think it's a pro. It's got like one word. It's got one or two words. But I mean, it's not bad.
It was. I can see her watching.
So she will not watch it again.
She's like,
because a TV fell on a dog.
Oh, okay.
And that part has traumatized her. Even though the dog is okay. Now, when we were watching it the first time, obviously we did not know if the dog was going to be okay. Right. She was very traumatized by that. So she is not going to watch it again. Okay. And I had it. In fact, I turned it on just for me to watch it. She freaked out. But she's not watching it again. But my wife and I both really liked it. And
that's one of the funniest parts, though. When it shows the dog later and it's got like this little... what do you call it? He's in cast.
Yeah, exactly.
And they made sure to tell you he was okay.
Right.
And,
so, and I love the teasing that he's gonna get it and then doesn't get it.
Right.
Okay. It's like they did a great job. So, at one part he has to sell these Christmas wreaths. Again, spoilers. He has to sell these Christmas wreaths in order to get one, right?
Right.
And so he does.
Just know he's gonna do it.
Right. He gets first place. He goes to get his prize and. It's not it. Let's just put it like that. It's not it. I'm not going to give any more spoilers. Or like Christmas Day happens. He pulls a cord and all of a sudden a package tumbles out from his uncle in Japan.
Right.
And it's just the same size and everything. And he opens it up and it's something else.
Right.
I mean, just all the teases about like it not being what it's supposed to be are great.
And it kind of mimicked Christmas Story like that. You're thinking, oh, there's the red BB gun. I mean, the Red Ryder BB gun, When it finally, I'm like, oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. You kept thinking, when is this going to happen? My favorite part was when the school bus runs over it.
And so him and his buddies have this plan to buy one, and they buy it, and then it gets thrown under a bus.
Right. And the kid puking, and he's eating SpaghettiOs.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm out. I can't anymore. I'm out. And it just made me laugh. So anyway, I think will be something that I'll just have to make it like Christmas Vacation or Christmas Story, something I watch at least once a year. Mm-hmm. I think it'll come back around.
And Steve Zahn plays the dad. I'm a huge Steve Zahn fan.
Yeah.
He's such a great actor. He does a really good job in this. Now, I watched it with my kids, right?
Uh-huh.
They're like, man, the dad is mean in this. Uh-huh. Like the whole time they're thinking the dad is mean. I'm thinking, I'm too easy on you guys. This is like how my dad was.
Right.
So golly, but when the dad's in traffic and all the people, he's yelling at all the people who are like cutting him off and everything. Yeah. I love that. That's just, isn't that such a dad thing? I do that now. I've officially become a dad, Tim.
I think so.
It's like once you start yelling at traffic, that's it. There's no going back at that point. So it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Right. But, like they can hear you, right?
And like he doesn't like shopping, right? Same kind of thing. I'm telling you. But it was really fun. We had a good time watching it with family and friends and everything. And if you haven't watched it, just go watch it. Do yourself the favor. And Tim, like I said, that really is kind of, I didn't grow up with so much snow, so I didn't have like the snow component of it, but a lot of that stuff I could really relate to. And I think a lot of you guys who are my age or between me and Tim or Tim's age probably remember a lot of this stuff pretty vividly.
Yes.
So, any other thoughts if anybody has? Let's see. It says, Omega Mark Santa Inc. movie from HBO Max. He says it's bad. Let's see. I know it had Sarah Silverman and Seth Rogen, but I actually saw a preview for that. But based on your recommendation, I'm probably not going to watch it now. Let's see. Die Hard and Lethal Weapon are the best Christmas movies. I'm a big Die Hard fan.
Okay.
I got to see Hans Gruber fall off that building before it's Christmas time. So that's just my personal thing.
Yeah, definitely a Christmas movie, right?
Definitely a Christmas movie, Tim. I have a whole category on my media server that's called Christmas or movies that take place during Christmas.
Okay.
That's the whole category. So it's not Christmas movies. It's movies that take place during Christmas.
I see.
So, and that's Die Hard. That's, if you haven't seen Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds, another Christmas movie that you can watch that's not a Christmas movie.
Okay.
Hilarious. Love that movie. But there's so many great traditional Christmas movies as well, Tim.
Sure.
And, like you mentioned, A Christmas Story, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I've got an Elf shirt on.
Yeah, Elf I love is Elf. A classic. Yeah.
Let's see.
I think this movie has the potential, at least in our gaming world, to be that kind of classic. I'm just wondering, I'm kind of curious as how the general public is receiving or how it's doing. I don't know. Maybe somebody.
Yeah, I was wondering about the streaming too. And Tim, I know there's a lot of stuff to stream, and so we'll talk about that in the after show. There's a lot of stuff to stream. If you didn't stream stuff over the holidays, a lot of stuff came out, and so but there's some great stuff. So I don't know how it did against everything else. That's a good question. Right. But hopefully it got enough streams that people watched it. And Tim, I really felt like it could have been released in the theaters. I don't know how it would have done, but. It seemed, the way they shot it with the name that they shot it with, it kind of seemed like it was destined for theaters, and then they made the decision to put on HBO Max.
I think so.
But Home Alone, somebody says that's a great Christmas movie.
Yeah.
So, Regular Show says Die Hard would be a good Christmas movie if it was one. Now, don't start that. We've already had this discussion. Okay? Right. Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
All right.
So,
end of story.
Yeah, exactly. End of story. But anyway. Okay, well, I think that's going to do it for the regular show, Tim.
Okay, guys.
So we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. We do want to remind you guys that we want your arcade-related videos. If you want some free advertising for your YouTube channel, we're looking for people to submit short videos, 10 minutes or less, about arcade-related topics. You can send a link to your video at questions@arcaderepairtips.com, and our staff will review it. If we like it, we'll use it during one of our live show episodes. Make sure you put a plug in for your channel so people will know where to find you. We look forward to seeing your submissions. And of course, Tim, this is to help out channels that are on the verge of monetization. So, if you just need a couple more views or a couple more subscribers to get to the monetization point, then please let us help you out if we can, and we'll do our best to do that. So, especially if it's related to arcade stuff, that's what we're looking for. And then, Tim, we have all of our contact information. We have our general email address at questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Put live show in the subject to get it mentioned on the show. Now, guys, I know I've gotten a lot of emails over the last week, Tim. Guys, we've been busy. Okay. I told you I literally haven't had any time to do anything over the last week. Every day I've had something to do. So if you sent in questions recently, I'm going to get to them, but I've just got to catch up with stuff right now. Plus, last Saturday, me and Tim finished up filming some video stuff, and so we've just been all over the place. So patience on the questions right now. I promise we'll get around to them, but we're still playing catch up. So hopefully we can get around to those very soon. But you can still send them to questions@arcaderepairtips.com, and make sure you put live show in the subject to get it mentioned on the show. We have our YouTube page at youtube.arcaderepairtips.com, youtube.arcaderepairtips.com. Of course, if you're watching this live or on YouTube, you know that. But for those of you who may be listening to the podcast version and want to watch the after show, you can go to youtube.arcaderepairtips.com to do that. And of course, comments from our last live show will be covered on the next episode. So you can also leave a comment there and we'll get around to it on the next show. We have our podcast email, podcast@arcaderepairtips.com. Still, Eric and Rusty, Tim, hopefully we'll put out an episode at some point. And if they do, you'll be able to contact them at podcast@arcaderepairtips.com. Tim, they're just so busy, I know, with the Game Preserve and everything going on there. So, I mean, it's been a big big deal, obviously, getting back on their feet after COVID. So, yes. I mean, anybody who owns an arcade knows that. So they're doing their best right now. Hopefully they'll get around to doing some episodes at some point. But you can visit our iTunes page at itunes.arcaderepairtips.com and leave us a review. Or you can visit our Stitcher page at stitcher.arcaderepairtips.com. Tim, we're on Spotify. We're on every podcast platform where fine podcasts are aggregated. So just do a search for Arcade Repair in your favorite podcatcher and you'll find us, I promise. But if you want to leave reviews, itunes.arcaderepairtips.com is good for that. And then we have our social media pages. We have our Facebook page at facebook.arcaderepairtips.com and our Twitter feed at twitter.arcaderepairtips.com. You can reach out to us on both of those platforms. We want to thank Mark for all of his contributions to those pages as well. He does a great job covering pinball and other things for us. And me and Tim also post stories there that we find interesting. So again, facebook.arcaderepairtips.com if you want to follow us on Facebook, or twitter.arcaderepairtips.com if you'd rather follow us on Twitter. The same news gets posted in both places. We should always say that. So there you go. Tim, I think that covers everything. Is there anything in particular that you want to talk about on the after show tonight? Besides some of the stuff that we've been watching. I know that's obviously something. So
yeah, we'll talk a little bit about investments. We'll talk about some shows we've been watching. Maybe I'll drift into
I made some money.
You made some
investment.
Money. Oh, nice.
I told you.
Yeah.
So I'll talk about that. I made money.
I made a little.
I cut out when I was supposed to.
I did
you see
too,
that?
yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so we'll talk about how we made money in the stock market for once. We'll talk about Thanksgiving, Christmas plans.
A little bit about college football and the playoffs, maybe.
Yeah, obviously something happened with your college team.
Yeah.
Tim, a big Oklahoma fan.
Yeah, not a big Lincoln Riley fan right now, but I'm a big Oklahoma fan.
In fact, if he drives through Oklahoma again, he's liable to get shot, correct?
Yeah, I think he needs to stay out of the country right now.
There you go. Anyway, we'll talk about football, NHL, NBA, MLB, Tim. Lockout today. Did you see that?
Yes.
So there's a owner's lockout right now in MLB. We can talk a little bit about that. The Rangers made some huge moves. I can talk about that if you want to.
Okay.
We'll talk... I don't think I have any cord-cutting news except for just some movies that are coming out. So we'll talk a little bit about movies and media and stuff. I did watch Tiger King 2.
Oh.
So we can talk about that.
Okay.
So stay after for the after show, or if you're listening to this on the podcast, you can you can go to the YouTube page and watch the after show if you're interested. Otherwise, Tim, I think that's going to do it for this special Christmas episode of the Arcade Repair Tips live show. Tim, you about ready to head out?
I think so, guys. We just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and hope that you're doing well. Again, remember that we're always here for you, not just with arcade questions. Sometimes, the holidays can be a great time. I also miss my dad a lot during this time. So maybe, you're experiencing some joys and maybe some sadness. Just know that we're here for you. You're always welcome to contact us. And, it's just great to have a gaming community and people who care about you. We just want everybody to know that you are appreciated. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the live show if you got time.
And kind of speaking on that too, Tim, before the live show, we were kind of having our recollections about last year, and we lost Louis, a little bit before Christmas last year.
Yeah.
And so that obviously has been a big hit to us. I miss him, Tim, quite a bit, especially when we do the live shows. I also lost my grandmother around the same time last year, Tim.
You did?
So, it's a tough year. It's a tough time
I know,
now for a lot of people.
My son is going to South Carolina tomorrow and for his military assignment. And anyway, I was thinking, man, I wish Louis was still there, and stuff. But one thing that I think we'll just end with this, is take lots of pictures, because one day pictures or videos or whatever you do, because one day that's going to be all you have. And so, though, if you still have your parents, older siblings and people that are important, or grandparents, great-grandparents maybe, spend some time with them this holidays and let them know how much you appreciate them, because you're sure will miss them when they're not around.
Absolutely, Tim. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for us here in the regular show. After show coming up right after this, so stay tuned if you want to talk about some of the off-topic things that we like to talk about, Tim. But if this is your off-ramp, we do want to wish you happy holidays, Merry Christmas. It'll be after the first of the year before we see you again, so Happy New Year. Tim, I'm thinking when we come back, New Year's resolutions.
Okay.
Maybe we can talk about the ones we made last year or this year,
Okay.
and if we actually follow through, and then the ones we want to make for the new year. So, something to think about between now and then. Do you have any arcade New Year's resolutions? But anyway, we hope you had a great Thanksgiving. We hope you have a great Christmas, and we hope that you have a great New Year's and a happy holidays and whatever else that it is that you guys celebrate. We hope that you have a happy one. So everybody take care. Good night. Remember, here at Arcade Repair Tips, when you fix the game,
you play the game.
Take care, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
We'll see you in the after show, or we'll see you next month.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Arcade Repair Tips live show. All of our past episodes are available on our website at arcaderepairtips.com or on our YouTube page. This show is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Please consult a professional before attempting to repair any coin-operated machines yourself. The preceding program is a Varcade Entertainment production.
And we're back. Just that quick. Just a short break this time.
Just short.
And the reason why is because the football game's on. We just had to turn it on, right?
Right.
So, Cowboys game. If you guys watched the Thanksgiving game, golly, that was such a heartbreaker. You know, and Tim, I know a lot of you guys did because it was the most watched game in like the last 20 years or something.
Yeah, 38 million or something.
Yeah, so I know a lot of you guys watched it.
It was a good game, though. It was a good game.
It's just we came on the losing end of it. It sucks.
Even the Lions game was interesting, but poor Lions still losing a heartbreaker.
Oh, come on. That game was boring. Two teams that have like nothing, basically. Don't give me that. It's like, it is what it is.
It was a good
The Lions always play on Thanksgiving, just like we do. So, anyway, Tim, so you had a good Thanksgiving. You can go into more detail here. How'd it go?
It was good. We had the tradition. If you guys, those of you who've never had, we had the Greenberg turkey.
Yep.
And if you you can Google Greenberg turkey from
Made
Tyler,
here in East Texas.
Tyler, Texas.
Tyler, Texas.
They ship it to you ready. It's unthawed, everything. You get it. You can start eating it that day. And it is delicious. So My mother-in-law fell and broke her hip about a week before Thanksgiving.
Oh, my goodness.
And, of course, mother-in-law does a lot of the cooking.
Yep.
So everybody kind of pitched in, and she still ended up cooking, and she's getting around good, and everything is fine. But it kind of threw everybody's like, oh, man. And then Landon came in, so we had to, we came back with him from Rhode Island. That was a quick trip. He was honored in his school, and he's doing really good, so he really likes it. He does a lot of networking and soldering and all this stuff that I never thought he would do, and that's good, though. He's learned a lot of good skills. So, of course, we just ate too much. Food just kept coming, and I just kept eating it. So
we did something different with ours. We ate a big breakfast, but then we ate like an early dinner and no lunch.
Okay.
So that left a lot of room. You know what I'm saying? And it also gave you time to kind of digest.
Okay.
So I think that worked out well. I think we're going to do that more often.
We do a Christmas breakfast, and it's always kind of fun. And
right.
It's kind of, we always open most of our presents on Christmas Eve until when I was growing up, and we just kind of slip in on Christmas. Now we do it more on Christmas Day, and we have breakfast and stuff, so I really enjoy that.
We don't do Christmas Eve. So my parents were diehard sticklers for opening it on Christmas Day.
Yeah, you had to wait. Huh?
Exactly.
You couldn't sleep?
No, yeah, exactly. Couldn't sleep. The thing about Christmas Day, so...
I wonder what's going on.
I don't know. They're highlighting
face.
Yeah, Troy Aikman's
anyway,
face.
Sorry.
But when the Nintendo 64 came out, Tim, my parents pre-ordered one and bought it on the day it came out. But they said you can't have it till Christmas.
Oh wow, that was a tough one.
Yeah, so I probably told this story, but so Christmas Eve, I'm super excited because I know what I'm getting. I know they've already bought it. I know I'm getting a Nintendo 64 with Super Mario 64. My buddy Kyle calls me up that night and says, dude, my parents let me open the Nintendo 64. We're playing it right now. And I literally know there's one thing under the tree and I can't do a thing about it. So
you can relate with the
me and Kyle are still friends today, and we still talk quite a bit. But yeah, that call was kind of rough, Tim. I'm just saying. So,
yeah.
But our Thanksgiving was good. We went to my in-laws' house and just hung out and had a nice Thanksgiving over there. They live in the Dallas area, Tim. So we were up in Dallas and worked out good. So great Thanksgiving.
I can remember one Christmas past, my dad had gotten hurt. And, as a kid, you just don't think about stuff like that. Well, he didn't work for several weeks and stuff. And I remember that we thought, I think that my parents were kind of trying to prepare me that Christmas might not be as big that year, And I was digging around, and I went in my dad's office, and I saw a basketball up in the closet. And I thought, put two and two together, well, this is my Christmas present. So I knew what I was getting, and I wanted a basketball. So I was like, I just felt so guilty that I saw it. So finally I had to tell him, I'm like, you know what? I said, I know what I'm getting for Christmas. I didn't mean to. I wasn't snooping. I just saw it. And my dad said, well, thanks for being honest. Since you already know, and we thought that this year was going to be kind of tough anyway. I think it was 3 or 4 days before Christmas. He said, let's just go get it, and we'll go down to the school and play basketball. So my dad played a game of basketball with me, and I remember that. And so I'd kind of given in that was it, And obviously was okay with that. I was my parents always raised me. It was kind of better to give and to not and appreciate things you had and stuff. And it never really was about presents. But evidently some people in the church or something must have heard about it. And when I got up Christmas morning, I guess they had got together and helped out our family and stuff. And there was probably 30 or 40 presents under the tree.
Wow. And
it was like, I'll go back in time to tell some of these, like a Stretch Armstrong, Venture People, the Godzilla with the flames that shot out. All these like Shogun Warriors, guys. I'm probably even talking over your head now, Jonathan. But Atari games to go with my console. It was stuff that I really, really wanted. And I remember just I almost felt like I didn't deserve it. My dad said, "No, you were happy with just the basketball." And so, sometimes I hope that kids today really appreciate, you ever feel like your kids just don't, we have so much these days that it's just, it's kind of like we got stuff at Christmas that you could only get at Christmas. Now, if my kids really wanted something, I'd get it for them any time of the year, or I'd find a way, or I do. I get them stuff all the time, or give them some money, or help them out, or whatever we're going to do. Now it's give them a plane ticket or something. It's like much bigger presents. So I hope that we don't lose that magic, that Christmas really was, and to really want something. So that's why 8-bit Christmas really brought a lot of that nostalgia back, and remember what it's like. And like you said, I bet you couldn't sleep the night before and stuff. So whatever your traditions are, I hope that you're instilling your kids that it really isn't about what you get. Kind of like we would always say a prayer, and we would always thank God for everything that we got before we open it. That way we couldn't complain about what we had, because we'd already said we're thankful for it.
There you go.
That was one of my dad's lessons. You can't be complaining. But I never really did, and I guess I was always taught the value of things and appreciate, even when somebody got me something that was the wrong size. I remember one time I got a Batman outfit, and the cape was red, and it was like, that didn't match Batman. But I was like, you know what? How many Batmans have a red cape? I'm the coolest guy around. So, just encourage everybody to really keep the giving is one thing. And I know it's going to be a tough year. Inflation, things are just high. Things are out of stock. It's going to be kind of a different year. I feel, just feel like it's going to be different. But, just looking back, I didn't really appreciate my grandparents and those people in my life, spending those times with them. I remember, like I said, my dad playing a game of basketball with me. He never really, my dad was 39 when I was born, so we're talking he's 49, 50 now at that point, and I'm 50 years old right now. I don't know that I could just go play basketball, hoop it up with my son, but I probably would. I would try because of that, what it meant to me. So, anyway, that's how my Thanksgiving went, John. I kind of went off on a tangent there, but that's okay. My Christmas plans are to just kind of keep it simple, get everybody together. My son will be flying back in. He goes to South Carolina, where he can drive his car this time.
Oh, good.
But say a prayer for him, because it's a 14-hour drive, and he's never driven more than about 3 or 4 hours. But I think he's going to spend the night somewhere and try to break it up. And then there's a long drive. It is. But then he'll fly home for Christmas for 5 days. So, the fact that now we can see him, talk to him, FaceTime, those kind of things. And then, of course, my daughter will be here, and she'll come by, and we'll just have a good time. I'm just looking forward to more food and some time off. Having that job now that I actually get Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. I'm like a 3-day weekend. I got a 4-day weekend for Thanksgiving. It's just so odd to me. I've always worked Black Friday, and you worked retail, working Black Friday. So for those of you who are still, working in retail or whatever this time of year, our thoughts go out to you. And for those that are shopping, just, everybody's shorthanded. Just
got some slack.
I would say, be kind to the people who did show up.
Yeah.
There's always those people who won't work or won't show up. I still can't believe how shorthanded. I go into restaurants every day. I heard one out of probably the last 40 restaurants that said, I have enough people, I can't believe it. And he was shocked. He was like, and the main thing was he'd had people that had stayed with him for years.
Yep.
And that was the only person that I had ever talked to that didn't seem stressed, like they just didn't know. One was an owner of a popular restaurant, has no general manager. His only other manager had a death in the family, is going to be gone for a couple of weeks. He had like 3 employees. He had put an ad out, put things out, raised pay, done everything. He's not even getting any applications. He said, I am actually considering shutting down for the month of December, paying my people who have been working triple overtime, and just taking off and trying to regroup. And I've never heard an owner who would say they would just take December off, because it can get really busy.
Yeah, it can.
A lot of people eat past their food. Or
we're eating out more because we're going all the time.
You're gone. You don't have time to cook until the week of. So can you imagine him saying, I'm actually thinking about just taking off the first of the year because we can't provide the service that I feel like we should be providing people.
Yeah. It's tough right now. I mean, it's like you said, Tim, I think the real spirit of Christmas is really, it's really just, being with your family, being with your friends, having a good time. I'm a gift giver.
Right.
And so for me, giving the gift is better than getting the gift. But you have to remember that you're blessed on both sides of the equation. Right. And I think we forget that sometimes. You're blessed if you're the giver, but you're also blessed if you're the receiver. Right. And that's really what makes Christmas so great, is that it doesn't matter which side of the equation you're on. Either way, you get a good feeling, because either you're getting something or you're giving something to somebody. So right. I mean, like I said, that's what makes Christmas so cool to me.
Because when you think about it in economic terms, I'm spending $50 and getting $50. I'm really not. You're just breaking even.
Sure.
But at the same time, that's not what it's about.
Right.
It's not about or the dollar amount. It's about. I like when people. You always do a good job, John, putting a lot of thought into it, or something that I would like, and things like that. And so, yeah, it is. It's a great time of the year, and like I said, but also a good time to give to your favorite charities, or to support those local businesses that really need the income this time of year to provide Christmas for their families.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate, Tim, to work for a company where I still get a Christmas bonus. I know that's kind of a rarity, and so that's usually the first. Like, as soon as I get it, the first thing we do is usually donate a good chunk of it to charity. Because by the time I get my Christmas bonus, I've already bought everything. So it's kind of a bonus, which is really nice. But it's really I'm really thankful for that. But I mean, there's so many charities out there and so many deserving organizations that need help right now, Tim, especially because it seems like they're catering to more and more people all the time. And so if you got anything to spare, it's always good to give some to. And Tim, we try to stay local. So we give to local charities typically. I don't do the nationwide charities very often, Tim, but organizations that either we've actually volunteered at and been a part of, or ones that I know where the money's going, those are always the ones that you want to stick with.
And if you don't have the money, you can volunteer some time.
Absolutely.
Or some effort, or just to help, and they're all needing help this time of year.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of these organizations that buy presents for kids. If you've ever done like Angel Tree, for instance, a lot of times they're telling you not to bring the gifts wrapped anymore because they want to make sure that they're okay before they wrap them up for the kids. They still need volunteers to wrap gifts.
Right.
So even if you have a little extra time, the only thing you know how to do is wrap gifts. You can go wrap gifts.
Right.
Okay,
but you've seen my gift wrapping. It's not good. It's sad.
I learned how to gift wrap. I taught myself, Tim, and I am very proud of my wrapping expertise. I may even do a YouTube video on it.
I'm going to say, I need to watch some YouTube videos because I'm horrible at it.
There you go. But, even if you're not very good at wrapping, they'll still accept you if you want to be a gift wrapper for those things. But anyway, okay, moving on. Investment talk. So Tim, you and me both got in on an IPO, specifically Backblaze, which is a organization that focuses on backup solutions for home and business. So if it's like a Carbonite, if you need to back up your computer, you can pay a yearly fee to back it up. If you're a business, you can pay for what they call a bucket, Tim, and then you can put stuff in the bucket. And it's just a cloud backup solution. So they had an IPO, Tim. If you looked at their prospectus beforehand, you will notice that they were making money.
Right.
One of the few private companies, Tim, that seem to make money before they go public.
Right.
So, so me and Tim got in on that pretty well. I think I got in on the actual IPO pricing. You got in a little lower because it kind of dropped right before open, which was good.
I got really lucky because I put a bid in and it got rejected. And then I kind of waited. I was patient and I got in just the right time.
So you got in like 50 cents lower than I did, which was nice. And then it ended up shooting up about 33%, 35%, something like that. And so I sold when it got up there, and I'm glad I did because now it's back down.
I sold all but one.
Yeah, I still have my one.
And it went up after hours today.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
We did have a little bit of market recovery today, but the market's been taking a real beating.
So I personally think that Backblaze may end up being a company like Square or Roku or some of these other ones that I've invested in the past, where they start off around that $20 or $30 range and then they start to take off.
Yeah.
And I think Backblaze has the potential to get there. It may take 5 years for them to get there. But if you're looking for a good long-term investment, I do think Backblaze is a good company.
And that's BLZE is their ticker symbol or number.
And I already made money. Yep. So I mean, I'm happy. I sold out when it was high. So, but me and Tim both did that. We made some money. So, and again, we use Webull. We have our Webull links below. So if you want to get into investing, there's never a bad time, Tim, to get in. So I mean, now's a good time to get in as any. So if you want to get in, you can go to our Webull links below, and you'll get a free stock. We'll get a free stock.
That's right.
For those, so. Then college football. We talked about Oklahoma a little bit. Well, Oklahoma lost their head coach, I heard.
Yes.
So how'd that all go down, Tim?
Well, it was kind of a shock because LSU had tried to recruit him and offered him $12 million a year, which is phenomenal for a college coach. Think about that.
Oh, yeah.
I think he makes about 6.5
there are
or
baseball
7.
Players that don't get
was making 6 or 7 a year at Oklahoma, which has kind of become that the top 5 college coaches are really getting some good money these days.
Sure.
And he made a statement right after they lost a close game to Oklahoma State, which took them out of the college football playoff contention, but still puts them in a really good bowl, 10-2 season. They're going to get a good bowl game out of it and probably play a good team. And then he specifically answers a question. There's no way I'm going to LSU. Everybody in Oklahoma breathes a sigh of relief. He didn't say I'm going to stay at Oklahoma, though, because the next day he announces that he is going to USC to be their coach. And you'd have to know Oklahoma. If you look back at their coaches, Bob Stoops for 17 years, still very loyal to the program. Barry Switzer, still very loyal to the program. Bud Wilkerson, still, these guys. It's like a tradition, it's like you just go there and you stay and you retire. And that's kind of what everybody thought he would do. Had 2 homes in Norman that he owned. And USC just made him a phenomenal offer.
They backed the money truck up, huh?
Yeah, not that I can blame him. $110 million. I think it's over several years, but still, a big contract, I guess it's guaranteed. They bought him a $6 million home. They gave him a jet that his family can use at any time to fly around, and they bought both of his houses in Oklahoma and paid him $500,000 more than the market value. So he made $1 million right then without having to even talk to a realtor.
Wow!
So a good deal for him. But the best story of all was, as an Oklahoma, you feel like he left right before National Signing Day. So some of the top players actually said they were going to decommit, or maybe even a few are following him to USC, which is normal. You thought just the timing. You couldn't wait till after the bowl games. We have no coach. The bowl. Bob Stoops stepped up and said, "I'll be the interim coach. I'll come in." And a guy that has no reason to a monetary gain in it. He's worth plenty of money. He makes plenty of money as a broadcaster. He's actually going to work a broadcast booth one day, then turn right around and go coach. He's going to coach them in their bowl game, and he's getting the team together. The next morning, he quit a golf game halfway during the middle when he went, kind of clocked in, said, "I'll be there." The next morning at 7 a.m., he was at the office and doing recruiting.
Wow.
So, you just don't find that kind of loyalty anymore. We like Bob Stoops.
Oh, yeah.
We loved him as the Renegades coach.
That's right.
And
I hope he comes back to the XFL next year. I don't know if he's going to stick with the Oklahoma gig. I don't know if he wants to do that.
I don't know. I think he likes what he's doing. He's going to interim coach until they find somebody.
Exactly.
And I think they'll find somebody. They've got a couple.
Well, I want him to come back and do the Renegades because I actually like the XFL. I like the XFL.
I do too.
So I hope he comes back and coaches. And that seems like the XFL coaching gig seems super easy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It just seems easy. So
it's fun.
Right,
like
exactly.
He's just having a good time.
Right. It's
playing football.
Like no pressure. You don't have to travel that much. I mean, it's just and no recruiting.
Right.
I mean, it just seems like the perfect gig. Like if you're a retired football coach.
Yeah.
You make some money on the side. You get a little bit of extra change. I mean, like I said, if you're like at the end of your NFL or college coaching career, it seems like a great thing to do. So I don't know. We'll see.
So having said that, Oklahoma State did win the game. So they're 10-1. They'll play Georgia, it looks like. Probably, and Georgia is just blowing through everybody.
Yeah, they are.
And Ohio State looked unbeatable and got beat.
Yep.
So it's like this would be the perfect year for like either an 8 or a 12-team playoff, I think.
Agreed.
I just don't think there's top
Now, what
4.
about, did you hear about Notre Dame and their coach?
I didn't hear about
So their coach quit by text.
Oh, wow.
You didn't hear this? He's guys, basically they found out through the news, and then he texted them and is like, "Hey guys,
they're like 10-1."
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Was he taking the Oklahoma job? Who knows?
I don't know. I forgot where he's going. But he's like, "Hey guys, probably heard the news. Not going to be there. Meeting at 7 tomorrow. I'll explain everything." The meeting was 11 minutes long. Nobody showed up.
Wow.
So I mean, they were as soon as they got the text, they were done.
Wow.
So I mean,
I didn't hear about that. That's crazy. So there's just not a lot of loyalty these days. But then again, how many of us would have to be honest if somebody comes tomorrow and says, "I'm going to pay you 3 times what you're making right now"? I'm like, "Well, this is nice knowing you."
Exactly. Hey, if somebody wants arcade repair tips and they drive a money truck up here, it's gone.
Right.
You can have it. No loyalty, guys. I'll even work for you for a little bit. We'll get all this done. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look, you can't blame people for taking the money truck. That's all I'm saying.
No, but it is tough as a fan to swallow. So.
Absolutely. So NFL, obviously, we talked about the Cowboys heartbreaker. We're watching it right now. It's 0-0. Defense is looking good so far if you're watching the game. So we'll see about that. Hopefully your team's doing well. Tim, I know a lot of teams are not. Seahawks seem like they've been really rough. Obviously, our division is pretty bad.
Well, it seems Washington has been playing good lately.
That's true.
And it seems like every time a team, Arizona's the team to beat, all of a sudden they lose a couple games.
Packers are number 1, I would say, overall, as far as the best team right now. What do you think?
I would have to agree with that. I think that they're definitely a contender. The Cowboys are so streaky.
Buccaneers, you can't count them out.
You can't ever count out Tom Brady. Then you look in the AFC. It's going to be an interesting. I would never count the Baltimore Ravens out. The Chiefs are looking good, but they are beatable.
I tell you what, they're just not giving. They're not giving. They're not giving them a lot of time to throw there in Kansas City. I don't know if you notice that the offensive line looks pretty bad.
It makes a lot of difference.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, he's a quarterback that's obviously good at playing on the run typically. But this year, I mean, it's different when you have a little bit of time to throw. It's different when you have a little bit of time to throw versus like no time to throw. Right? That's a lot of difference. So anyway. But we'll see what happens with the NFL. Keep tabs on that. Mention the MLB lockout. Now, Tim, before the lockout happened, though, the Rangers went and signed 3 of the top 10 free agents. Boom. I don't know if you saw that.
No. Who do we get?
So we got Corey Seager. We got John Gray, who's a pitcher. We got Cole Calhoun. Wow. And then Marcus Semien.
Wow.
Okay, that's 3 of those are in the top 10 free agents overall.
Wow.
We spent $500 million in a day. Okay, so the Rangers are the most exciting team in baseball right now. If you're keeping up with free agency, unfortunately, lockout. Yeah. So nothing's going anywhere. Who knows what's going to happen from here on out? But I think they're going to get. They're going to get this settled. We're going to have baseball next year. I'm not worried about it. So
right.
Then NHL, NBA, Tim, I don't know if you've been keeping up with the Stars, but the Stars have won like their last 6 games.
They've had a good run.
Doing really good. Love the Stars. And then NBA, the Mavericks haven't been doing so hot, Tim. I will say they killed New Orleans last night. I don't know what it was. I think they shot 68%. I mean, something ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like 140 to 107.
Wow.
I mean, but before that, the last 3 or 4 games, we looked awful. And Tim, as you know, in the modern NBA, it's all about 3-point shooting.
Right.
So if you've got your guys driving in, you got a Luka, you got a Porzingis driving in, kicking it out to the outside, and then taking shots, and they're not hitting them down, then you're going to lose. Your outside shooters need to be able to hit shots. And up till last night, we were having problems with that. Tim, you and me need to go to the Stars game and a Mavericks game soon.
We do.
So, for sure. No cord cutting talk. I didn't really put anything on here except for some movies coming out. Tim, the new Matrix movie comes out before Christmas. Before Christmas. Very excited about that. Gonna watch that. And there's also a new actually a film called, I think, Being the Ricardos, about Lucy and her husband.
Nice.
And Desi Arnaz and everything. So we're big I Love Lucy fans in the house. We're looking forward to that. Just some new stuff. But let's talk about some of the stuff we watched. Tim, you go first.
I have actually broke down and because I kind of jumped on the bandwagon, and I watched Yellowstone some.
Oh yeah.
And I just.
So are you on Paramount Plus or are you watching it on TV?
I'm watching it on Paramount Plus.
Okay.
And I don't know. Maybe I can give it more than a couple episodes. It's okay. But I'm like, everybody's like, oh my gosh, it's the best show. I can't believe it. It's kind of like, it sounds like a lot when The Walking Dead first came out. People are just, a lot of chatter, a lot of stuff about it. Either that or I'm just so tired when I get in some days. I just don't know. It's just not bringing it to that level.
Understood.
But I did watch, what was the documentary I said we would talk about? The Lulu?
Yeah, Lulu Rich.
Lulu Rich. And I thought that was really interesting. We've watched a couple of documentaries about pyramid schemes and stuff, and that really...
I think I talked about this when I watched it. So you liked it?
I did like it.
It was good.
I thought it was really good, and interesting how
Amazon Prime,
how it can people can be sucked into that. You know, I remember one time at work, people were going around, hey, you got $20 you want to give in? We're gonna, and everybody gets their money to this person, and then they take it, and then the next week everybody you'll get your money back, and I'm like, you know, I'm doing the math. I'm going, well, some points, not everybody's going to win, you know. That's the way. I'm like, this is too pyramid-y. But it was interesting how people at work were really getting into it. And then they all had to pay the money back. It was a big mess. But
and it's just an interesting thing because, I think you and me were talking about this when we were shooting the video the other day. They had good intentions.
Yeah, I think so.
And they didn't start off, I don't think, like a pyramid scheme, really.
No, it's just where the money was.
Right, it ended up being like that. So, it was just they really didn't know what they were doing. And so it grew too fast for them to control, and so they got in trouble with it. Mm-hmm. That's really what happened. So, it's a very interesting documentary.
They survived, still around.
Absolutely.
So,
anything else?
No, that's about all that I can think of that I've been...
My parents love Yellowstone, by the way. They think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, and maybe I need to give it a second look, or I know I fell asleep in one episode, and I just haven't really got into it yet. I don't know, but yeah, the people that love it are like, oh my gosh, it's so good, and I'm like, okay. Well.
So I watched Tiger King 2.
What'd you think?
You don't need to watch it.
Yeah.
Unless you just want to. Now, so there's a couple of things. They give you updates. They give like an entire episode on what's her name's husband.
The one that died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they give like an entire episode on him. There's like several episodes dedicated to another guy who has tigers and kind of his ordeal. Okay. And there's a lot, with Joe Exotic. So and it's basically just 5 episodes of what has happened since the documentary.
Is he still in jail?
He is.
Okay.
So apparently now he has an aggressive form of cancer.
Oh, wow. He had COVID there for a while. Yeah,
so they don't know. I don't know, if they're gonna, what they're gonna do with him. But
wow.
Yes, apparently he has an aggressive form of cancer now, so there's a good chance he's gonna die at some point.
Wow.
So
that's sad.
Yeah. So that's going on, but it's basically just an update on everything. So unless you're really bored, like I was, don't watch it.
Okay.
You don't have to. Unless you just want to know the updates. The updates are fascinating.
Yeah.
So they go into Jeff. Jeff, lost the park to what's her name? I can't think of her name at the moment. Carol. Yeah. Oh, yeah. How could I forget that? So,
Carol Baskin.
That's right. That be Carol Baskin.
Yeah.
So, Jeff lost the park to her.
Okay.
So, that's an update. But you're going to get all the updates if you watch it. So, if you're interested in it, but Joe Exotic has a little bit of footage from jail where he's talking to him and stuff. But, there's nothing, if you didn't watch it, you wouldn't miss anything. That's what I'm telling you. But if you want some updates, and Tim, I know you're a pretty diehard fan because you know about all that stuff.
I grew up right near that.
Yeah, I was about to say, you may want to watch it. But for normal people, for anybody who is not personally attached to it, you're fine. Now, I've been watching movies, Tim.
Okay.
Like left and right movies. I don't know why. We watched Red Notice on Netflix.
Okay,
that's the one with Dwayne Johnson. It has Ryan Reynolds and Wonder Woman.
It's on my watch list.
Yeah, and it's very good. You should watch it.
Yeah,
I liked it a lot. And in fact, I think is the most watched movie on Netflix ever.
Wow.
So it's really good. You should watch it.
Okay.
We watched Clifford the Big Red Dog on Paramount Plus because my kids, and it was cute. For a kids movie, it's fine.
It's all right.
It's something.
They liked it.
I signed up for a month of Paramount Plus just for that.
Okay.
And they liked it. And they were entertained. I knew Shang-Chi was coming out, so I watched Black Widow first because I hadn't seen that. Black Widow was good, kind of like Bourne Identity meets Marvel.
Okay.
So it was good. Shang-Chi was really good if you like kung fu movies, like I do.
Okay.
So, obviously, like one of my relatives is in it. The bad guy is Tony Leung, or Learn, or however you say it. So, like, he's related to me, I think, somehow, because if you look at pictures of us, look at him, and then if I look at my family, I'm like, golly, we all look the same.
Wow.
So, somewhere down the line, he's like probably a fifth cousin or something like that. Yeah, exactly. So, he does a really good job in the movie. The only thing I didn't like about it was the ending. It was all kind of CGI thing, fighting CGI thing. I wish they would have done more kung fu, right?
Okay.
So, but it was good. It was fun. And it's free on Disney Plus, so you can watch those two on Disney Plus. I watched Dear Evan Hansen, which is a musical that we had to get on demand, and it was good. It was okay. I don't know. If you're not into musicals, don't get it. Yeah, I was about to say, if you're not into musicals, don't get it. If you like musicals, you'll like it. And then 2 TV shows I've been watching. I've been watching The Shrink Next Door.
Okay.
On Apple TV. This has Will Ferrell and what's his name who plays Ant-Man and is in Will Ferrell movies.
Okay.
What's his
I know
name?
what you're talking
about. I can't even think of his name. Golly. But it's the 2 of them. It's based on a true story about how this shrink basically took over the life of this business owner and sucked him dry of money.
Okay.
It's basically the entire story. So Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd plays the shrink, and Will Ferrell plays the guy who owns the business. And basically the entire story is about how Paul Rudd jilts Will Ferrell out of all of his friends and money.
Interesting.
So, I mean, it's based on a true story, so that's why I know what happens. But,
okay.
And then Hawkeye came out on Disney Plus. I haven't watched it. I've got plans to watch it. Excuse me. I have plans to watch it, so I should be watching that very soon when I actually get time to watch something.
Yeah.
I've been watching The Flash. The Flash came back on the CW, and they're doing like a big event thing, so I've been watching that. I watched some documentaries, but I couldn't even tell you what they were at the moment. Because, you know, it's like I always just end up finding like documentaries on the weirdest things. Like you, Tim. Me and Tim are documentary people.
Yeah, I like documentaries.
And I talked about it before, but Tim, if you haven't watched it, you need to watch it. Only Murders in the Building. We talked about that last time on Hulu.
Right.
Watch that. Don't watch Yellowstone.
Okay, watch that.
Only Murders in the building.
Okay.
Okay, because you know what it's about.
Right.
It's about a murder that happens in a building, and they do a podcast about it.
Oh. Okay.
So it's like a documentary and an investigation all in one. It's good.
Okay.
But I think that's everything. So, Tim, you got anything else? We're watching the game.
No.
0-0 with
my attention
8 minutes
up
left
there.
in the first quarter.
Looks like a pretty good game, so I'm ready to go watch it.
Yeah, the Saints game is always good, even though the Saints are bad this year, like you mentioned. 3rd-8 for the Saints. So are we gonna? I can't.
They're playing in New Orleans.
I'm not supposed to describe
like
anything because isn't that one of the things? Unauthorized broadcast, retransmission, or blah 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 blah.
Right. It's a defensive struggle so far.
There you go. So, but we hope that you do have a happy Christmas, Merry Kwanzaa, Happy New Year, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. I don't know. Hopefully you have a great one because Tim, you always wonder how many Christmases you got left, right?
Right.
So, like you mentioned, and Tim gave that really emotional speech before, and I don't want to rehash that, but. But Christmas, Tim, is one of my favorite times of year.
Me too.
Spring is actually my favorite time of year because that's when baseball starts. Got my birthday, got all the cool stuff then. But Christmas is definitely second there. And January and February are my worst. I hate January and February.
Right.
It's like Christmas is over. It's like you have a hangover from Christmas.
The only time it's cold here
no
in Texas.
more holidays for a while. Just stinks.
Man, they're kicking like a 70-yard field goal. Was this
56-yarder?
Tom Dempsey coming back?
And he missed that thing way wide. Golly.
Yeah, that was a long field goal.
Yeah.
Gave Cowboys good field position. We appreciate it.
So anyway, well, we hope that you guys have a wonderful Christmas. A wonderful New Year, Tim. We're not going to, you and I won't see each other, or we'll see each other probably. But, I mean, we're not going to have another live show until then.
Right.
The next live show, I looked it up, is the 6th.
Okay.
We're going to be into 2022 by the time January rolls.
Wow, isn't that crazy?
Hopefully we will release a video between now and then. That would be really great. Of course, with my schedule, who knows?
2020 seemed like it was 3 years long. 2021 went by like it was 3 months long.
I'm telling you.
It was just crazy.
And I don't know. I mean, hopefully you guys aren't too locked down wherever you guys are. We are very open here. I mean, nothing's locked down. And Tim, I forgot I went to a music concert too. I went to go see For King and Country between this one and last one, and it was a great concert. Had a great time. But, this year I got to go to a baseball game, got to go to a concert. Those are things 2020 we weren't even thinking about, right? So I'm very happy that I got to do some stuff this year that, maybe wouldn't have got to otherwise. Geek Light says, Merry Christmas, guys. Be safe. See you next year. See you next year, Geek Light. See all of you next year. We want to hear about those, whatever your New Year's resolutions are. Arcade, New Year's resolutions. That's what we're talking about. Real Hammer Billy Lee says, Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas. Hopefully you have a great one. Tim mentioned, and I'm just going to reiterate, if you just need someone to talk to this holiday season, life@arcaderepairtips.com. Email address. Or questions you can send to the regular one. It doesn't matter. But, if you just want to reach out and say a Merry Christmas, or if you want to talk about something, if you're going through a hard time, we're always here for you. So, y'all have a great Christmas, great New Year's, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. We'll see you in 2022, which is like the weirdest thing ever to say. So, but anyway, Tim, is that it?
That's it, guys. Thank you again. Everybody have a good night.
Okay, you too. Good night. We'll see you next year.